Cool, thank you. Hey, what's your phone number? My phone number is 614-256-3667. I'll text you. Chris, you want to give one of those? I will. Yeah, like a minute or what? 1 minute? Yeah. Everyone sit down. Oh, with the music, yeah, 1 minute. If I turn this up, they can't talk. The Challenger sale, are we providing restaurants or no? We did. Everyone's on site. It came inside sale. Everyone should have gone this morning. If not, at lunch or break, we'll talk to you later. On Challenger sale, I'll just tell them if they want to get the book on Amazon, go ahead and do it on their own. Excellent. I've done that. Oh, really good. Yeah, I just started reading. Russell giving me the book. It's really good. It's very powerful. Yeah. On multi-level. Because I want to get more engaged in sales training, because that traditionally should be sales process. Right? In partnership with marketing, and if you had an HR training organization, we could talk about that. Probably in the lights there. Yeah.
All right, so good morning. Let's get started. So who's all in? There's not a better demographic that I like to hang with than salespeople, I'm telling you. I'm one of you, but finally signing through. Some of you I know were out a little late last night. Nice fresh faces. Let's get ready to roll. So speaking of the topic of all in, just happened to find a poker chip here. It's got somebody's name on it. Not sure if they're all in or not. It says Ollie G. Why don't we have Ollie G come up and make a decision here in front of everyone whether he's all in or not. There we go.
Sorry,
The walk of shame to the control. Yeah, he's all in. I know that. So, speaking of all in, got a lot of good feedback last night, most informal feedback. There will be a means, which I'll talk about in a second, to get the formal feedback in. But bottom line is, we believe in this mission, this transformation that Michael talked about, right? And so I know everyone is supportive of that. I know there's a lot of questions that people have about, what does this really mean, right? In terms of being all in. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to live it. So we're going to create some opportunity later today where I think you can have the opportunity to give some of your questions to the executive team. So we modified the agenda slightly. We're going to be giving you that opportunity. So I think yesterday everybody's a little tense. A lot of folks are here for the new, first time. Synovia folks specifically, our channel partners. I know this is the first year that we've had you here, and so the first day is always a little bit of jitters, and everybody's a little nervous and very formal. So I just ask everybody to relax a little bit, right? Be yourself. And one of the things we're going to do differently today is if you have a specific question during the presentations, you can raise your hand, and I'll try to keep everything on track with the time. But we're going to give you that opportunity. The sales team should have gotten the Safe Side Selling book. So if you did not get the book, please see Elaine during the break. The other book that was referenced yesterday is the Challenger Sale. So if you do not have that book, you would like that book, go on Amazon, get the book, expense it, it's all good. So, but I encourage you to do the reading. You'll get a lot out of the material. Okay, so I guess I'm flipping my slides here. All right, so let's go through the agenda just briefly. Again, it's going to be a different day than what we had yesterday. I know the LoJack folks were sort of waiting on, hey, when do we have something, you know, maybe a little bit more relevant. On the whole pivot to SaaS, the transformation, it's happening everywhere in the organization, including LoJack. Obviously, those of you who are already pivoting to our telematics solutions, that's what we want you to do. At the same time, we need to make our numbers as well. The SVR business, we've got BLU 11 coming out. We're going to talk more about that today. So the first session will be at 8 o'clock, the applications and platforms. And then we get into the specific vertical market solutions. So we start with industrial IoT, then we go into transportation logistics, and then it's with great honor that we have our favorite customer, UPS, here. And Lawrence Bader came in, we had dinner last night, and Lawrence, if you're here, maybe we get you to stand. Maybe he stepped out. Okay, so he will be here at 11 o'clock to give us some insight into UPS and the directions that they're moving, and Chris will do a more formal and better introduction than I'm doing. Our breakout sessions were scaled back from 3 to 2, so we will not be covering CPQ. Jill, as I mentioned yesterday, had a family emergency and was not able to make it out here. So we're going to break that into 2 parts. Right after lunch is the consumer section, so that's where we're really going to be talking about the LoJack-oriented products. And then what we decided to do is add in an hour for fireside chat. So we're going to ask the executive team to come up on the stage during that period, and it's going to be the rapid fire questions. What I would encourage you to do, you know, maybe you're a little nervous about asking your question and feel like it's politically incorrect or career limiting. Don't feel that way. Okay? We're just like you, right? Just humans trying to make a buck, right? So bottom line is feel free to be open with your questions, especially around what it means to make this transformation, the pivot to SaaS, everything that we've been talking about for the last day. And then we will adjourn we'll have the breakout sessions, and I know we have some room size limitations, so maybe some folks are going to have to stand up in the back. But the onboarding SaaS prospects, we have Steve Smith here, the master of PowerPoint and Excel, that's going to walk us through everything you need to know to onboard a SaaS prospect, quote them, etc. And then, as Fernand mentioned yesterday, we'll have a session on DAS. So a little bit more of a deep dive into the DAS program. Let me just say one thing about our channel partners. So I had an opportunity last night to talk to 2 of our partners, Embedded Works and BWS. Both of them were very proactive and very non-political in their support of this DAS program. And I want to thank you for that. It wasn't one of those political, love what you're doing responses. It was very genuine. I think this program makes a lot of sense. This is how our customers pay us. It's about time that Calent did that. So thank you for that endorsement, and I hope that all the rest of the team, including the channel partners, are on board with our plans going forward. So that's going to be an opportunity to get a little bit deeper into the details on the ION DAS program. Then we adjourn at 5, give everybody a little bit of a break. 6:30 over in the new buildings behind here, that's where the atrium is. I believe there's going to be signs. We'll have a cocktail reception outside of the atrium, 6:30 to 7. 7 to 8:30 will be the awards ceremony and dinner. You'll get to hear my lengthy awards presentation. And we're excited about that. We've got a lot of folks to recognize, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And then at 8:30, and I think maybe it's pushing a little bit more to 9, we will have the brace band performance with one of our own and finest playing the keys. So anyway, should be a lot of fun. And I believe with that, Let me introduce Frank Schneider for the second time to go through our applications and platform solution process. Frank? All right. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here this morning. We're going to take a little time to walk through some of our applications and CTC as a platform. You all have heard a lot about what we're doing, why we're doing, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about what the products are. I want to make sure that everyone in the room realizes that with software is a journey, which is to say that what we're going to show you this morning is the state of the product today. It's not how it's going to be 6 months from now, or 12 months from now, 18 months from now. There's going to be innovation, there's going to be changes, there's going to be new markets that we address as we go forward within software as a services. But this really forms the foundation for a product as it exists today. And we want to make sure that everyone in the room understands the kind of the state of the union with our software services right now. So first off, we're going to be walking through CTC and what's called the CTC admin to give you guys a little bit of an overview on what CTC is other than a non-descriptive acronym. So some of these slides you've seen before, and all of these slides are available to you. We call this the pizza model. And this is just really a kind of a funny analogy to disarm your customers and explain to them what CTC is, because it is a little bit of a nebulous concept. We've all heard about software as a service, and software as a service means that I can deliver to you an application without you requiring any of the infrastructure to operate. In the case of CTC, what we're really talking about here is platform as a service, which is a little bit different and can be harder for some customers to visualize. The point here with platform as a service is that it's the basis for being able to easily exchange data and provide it to third parties so that they can do whatever they want to with the data. And in the case of the pizza model, really what we're talking about here is there's lots of different ways to get pizza, right? You can buy flour, mix up dough, put pizza sauce on top, make your own pizza, or, like we did last night, go down to Pizza Port, buy beer, eat pizza, and have a great time. Broad range of service offerings, right? So you can be selling flour and be selling to pizza makers. You can be making pizza and selling to pizza eaters. And throughout the sort of the different range of service, essentially with CTC, the analogy would be, we're going to sell you all of the ingredients to make pizza so that you can make pizza faster and better with a lower cost structure. So Russell took you through this slide a little bit yesterday, and it's an excellent slide. I like this as a basis. And really the point of this slide is, what is CTC doing? CTC is taking the data, the incoming data from our devices, it's enriching that data, and it's providing you a platform for connecting that data to any application. This is important because that application can be an application that Account has provided. It can be an application that third parties have built off of CTC. It can also be ERP systems. So your Oracles, your Salesforces, your SAPs of the world. One common location for being able to build applications, connect data, and get it where you need. And that is really the power of CTC, is because we know our devices, we know the incoming data, we know the structures required to support it. We can enrich and provide that data better than most third parties can. So at the end of the day, what your customers are facing with CTC is a classic build versus buy equation. Are we going to build this platform ourselves, or are we going to buy it from a third party? And overall, there's reasons to do either one.
On the pro side, for building your own, so this would be your customer opts not to buy CTC. The pro there is that really you have complete control over that platform. The cons requires specialized skills, which I'll show you in the next slide a little bit. You have to have very specific domain knowledge around CalAmps directly. Not all TSPs are going to want to onboard those skill sets, by the way. Not all third parties are going to be able to onboard those skill sets, by the way. And I think you'll hear from UPS that corporate IT infrastructures are stretched. Not all of your customers are even going to have the bandwidth to do this, even though they may want to. And then there's ongoing maintenance and support. And as a result of the above items, you're going to get to market, you're going to get to your enterprise much slower and at a lower service level than if you just bought it from counter. So I always show this slide. I think it's kind of, it's funny, maybe, for computer. Maybe not. The point of this slide is, on the left-hand side, that is a real packet of data coming out of our device, right? And no one in this room knows what that is. I don't know what that is. The FAEs don't know what it is. Well, maybe there are a couple of people in that. But the point here is that for a third party, our customer, they have to take that packet, they have to turn it into something that's humanly recognizable. And that's a skill that not everyone's going to have. It's a skill that's going to be unique to CalAmps and not highly scalable. And we can provide that for them. So on the right-hand side, what you can see is that same packet of information decoded, right? And now all of a sudden you're seeing, hey, this is not just a hexadecimal string. There's actually an address in there. There's a location. There's a status. This is something that a real person can understand. These are Jason, our old friend Jason. He can understand this, right? So what does CTC provide you at the end of the day? There's really three core services that CTC can provide for your customers. The first is what we call the entity services. And this is really, how do you create an account? How do you create a structure around your data for being able to get to it easily and manage it, right? And that's important for being able to create an application off of. The second is data pump. And most of our CTC customers today focus highly on data pump. And what data pump is a very descriptive name, it pumps data, right? And so it's taking those that JSON string and it's providing it to third parties so that they can consume that with their applications. And then last is result service, which is similar to the data pump, except there's a component of memory so that you have data backup. And between those three components, your customers can build an application. And they can utilize CalAmps devices. They can do it with standard industry programmers, no CalAmps specialization required, which gives them fast time to market, highly scalable services that are customized for their specific purposes.
Right.
Yes, Ollie.
Are we planning to integrate in other manufacturers?
We have to. We absolutely have to. So today, Always question is, CTC today is what we call a mostly closed environment. It supports CalAmps devices, but it doesn't support many other manufacturers' devices. And in order for it to be more broadly accepted, it's going to have to be able to do those same value-added services, but for third-party devices also. So it's going to have to.
We're doing that today. So we're trying to keep mercury system. We're integrating that now. We expect that to be done in summertime. Well, devices flowing information into the mercury system and then platform integration between mercury and C. We expect to have that implemented by the end of the summer. We're looking at international to be able to take advantage of third-party devices.
There you go.
That's a good example, Joseph, because it makes it pretty tough. three or more different vendors. That hardware integrate reality.
Yeah. And that's going to be a platform integration, but I think we're also looking at how we can do that natively into CTC through what we call network adapters. Not on the roadmap right now, but it is definitely something that we know we need to do. Okay. Same concept. The other thing that CTC does, because the data is flowing across that platform, is it can enrich the data. So what do we mean by enrich the data? Your device produces for you a location of your vehicle and a status of your vehicle, but your device doesn't tell you the address that that vehicle was at. Your device doesn't tell you the weather that was occurring at the vehicle at that time. It doesn't tell you the time zone potentially of the vehicle where it was located. There are a number of different things that the device data does not provide for you. And so what CTC can do is provide you some context. And so there's a series of microservices that are part of CTC that CTC enables you to deliver most efficiently when utilized. And then last but not least is the CTC admin. So this has gone by a number of different names, Device Outlook on CTC, Device Outlook. This one unfortunately suffers from a little bit of branding over the years. But really the intent here is that this is a UI that allows you to manage your account, your CTC account. It allows you to create sub-users, sub-accounts, manage your devices, how those devices are configured, and gives you complete control over your CTC account. And that is CTC. A little bit more nebulous, a little harder to visualize than an application, but very critical, very important for our customers. And what CTC is really about is this stack of APIs, the data exchange, and how you're going to be able to pick that data off of Catalamp and ingest it on your side.
Thanks everyone. Good morning. This is probably the last time I'll have to get here doing the field pictures. I know Kanana's got this really good candidate for interviewing. As Jeff Lyberger said, I mean, we're kind of in a pod. I call it the land of misfit toys. What we have in the early pieces was really hard to kind of integrate into the Catalamp story. Where we are now from where we were 2 years ago, you're starting to see everything play. And I'm going to actually take you through about, it's probably 5 slides. Normally, and Russell talked about this a lot yesterday, is normally our discussion with customers is really kind of about understanding their supply chain challenges. In the Catalamp world, we use SCI almost as the Trojan horse now to go into accounts, and particularly the bigger accounts. You can start a dialogue with somebody about their supply chain challenges without looking like you're trying to compete with some of the different departments. At the highest level, the challenges inside of supply chain are what we consider multi-mode. I mean, I don't know in Scott Tripp's world if he's got planes flying from China directly into Oxnard. My suspicion is probably not. There's probably 3 legs to that journey. All legs have different requirements. Product can be split, can be diverted. So when you start to look at the challenges inside of supply chain, outside of theft and security, which is where the business came a couple of years ago, we know that metric in terms of what's the price somebody will pay to monitor a $1.5 million load. It's not very much. It's about $40 is all that they will allocate for the security point of view. You have to get to something that starts to show a lot more visibility. So when we start to tell the story, we walk into the customer, we say, well, let's talk about kind of your challenges in transportation logistics, what's important to you in supply chain. We're getting a lot of traction inside of compliance and the cold chain, primarily because of the tags that we talked about a little bit. But fundamentally, it's really about the entire journey of what has to happen to the product from the point of pack to the point of final delivery. Now, in parts of that process today, it can be pretty simplistic. And simplistic, I mean by it comes from the factory and it ends up at a distribution center, which is really where this solution was targeted a year or so ago. We monitor the full truckload, full container. We can do some metrics around it. The platform itself can figure out dwell time. For all intents and purposes, it's an overlay of location information with some other sensor technology. But that's just one part of the journey. As that product gets to the DC and it gets split and the rules change and where it goes next to the final, what we call last mile installation, those are all points that have to eventually be monitored. So as part of this discovery process, we usually start talking about what is important in your supply chain, what are the types of things you're monitoring. So I'm going to pick on the EMEA team a little bit because they're really concerned about me talking about one of the big deals they're working on. They're in discussion with a customer today that basically harvests, ships, and holds cotton bales. So some interesting things about cotton bales that we didn't know in this discussion. One is they can instantaneously catch on fire. And so there is a loss percentage that this company sees. There is a window when they harvest and store. There are requirements around when they have to transport. And today they do nothing in that process. To give you the size of what this company is, they own thousands of trucks on their own brand. They own hundreds of train coaches. They ship 20 million bales between the harvesting fields and a half dozen or so warehouses, and they have zero visibility into that. Nothing. Not on the trailers, not on the containers and the coaches, not on the hay bales, not when anything gets in storage. So as we've gone through the discussion and peel this onion back, we started with the loss ratio. And the loss ratio is important because it justifies the hard ROI. What's really becoming more important is for them to understand how they can determine when that product is actually picked and baled, how it moves through the process, how it's stored in the warehouse, how it's held in the warehouse, and how it's pulled from the warehouse. And so as we walk through these conversations, and they're pretty complex, we're starting to build an entire ROI model. And so it starts with just to monitor the road part of the trip, rail part of the trip, and ultimately into what I would consider a light inventory management system, which is how do I know which bales got into which warehouse and when they sold out. So there's some tools that I think over the next year will get more sophisticated in today, because it's kind of been a discussion, or also it's been a discussion on a one-to-one basis, trying to figure out what these people's concerns and issues are, and then try to build them wrong. We talked about this yesterday. The template that they built for AT&T Fleet actually has about 6 tabs on it. One of the key tabs that Julie and Wade worked on was kind of the whole tools with the truck. And what's the cost of a loss tool in terms of that opportunity to recover that loss? What's the cost to have to place orders for that? What's the cost to have to recover it? What's the amount of time if things come out of service and you can't service the job you're tool? So she's got, I don't know, 6 or so type of parameters that are in there that we're starting to model. But the ultimate goal of this is as we start to take this, what I consider an operational platform, and we dial it into the generic use cases, we can start to present to the customer when we know their leg. We can start to present to them some ROI numbers. This is where it really pushes from the finance side. Is it's great from a technology perspective, but tell me at the end of the day, what's the material impact of my business? All right, so we'll never do 100% of the use cases. We have partners, and I'll talk a little bit, that are really moving much faster. They're doing drone flyings, they're doing drop-in, disaster relief deliveries in countries. That use case and that ROI model is much different than the tools on the truck. But what we're going to come out of this with over the next course of several months is a set of tools and a set of presentations that really start to frame up what does that ROI start to look like, and you can validate that with the customer. This is $1 trillion industry. In the cold chain monitoring space alone, it's in the billions of dollars, right? Of which our target segment could be easily 500 million, just because of what this product does and the type of product we have. This is massive, and it is global in nature. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things that are with tags. Frank and team talked about the kind of play with tags on LMUs, from a proximity detection, when does my asset leave it. We are by far in the supply chain phase primarily focused on the cold chain environment. Our target tag technology or customer is chemtrails. So in this business today, there are 25 million chemtrails devices that are stuck in loads that all their entire purpose is to monitor and log the temperature and sensors. Incredibly manual process. You take them, you throw them in the shipment, you probably throw 20 in because you don't know that half of them are going to work. You find a few, you plug them in at the end of it, you print out your report. That process we're in the business of automating. There's a little bit of complexity around the certification piece. But in that process, the tags serve 2 purposes. They serve the purpose of monitoring and recording real-time temperature when they were in range of a hub. And that hub could be an indoor cold storage facility where the journey starts. Then it moves to a logging solution where it logs the temperature and humidity effectively throughout that journey at a predetermined rate. And when it comes in contact with the next hub, it auto-synchronizes and loads up that information. To give you an estimate of the types of things that customers are doing today, one of our integration partners has employed tags in 6 or 8 European cold storage facilities at the largest airports in the world and about a dozen in the US. They are now going into the pharmaceuticals and they're saying, put this temp humidity tag, Bluetooth tag on your product in the factory, and as it moves through that process of auto-sync. So effectively what they're doing is they created an infrastructure for any of the pharmaceutical companies as they move through the shipping process to upload data. The key portion of this, which half of the room has been screaming for, is what we call unpaired mode. So in our platform today at the application level, we need to look at everything as a shipment. And we tag things around shipments where we expect things to move together in shipment. Unpaired mode allows us to break those shipments up, which says we only care about the asset. So you can tag 1,000 things over here. You don't know where their journey is going to go, but it will auto-sync with any hub that it sees, and it will give you the journey, the temperature, humidity, and the cubic time of when it passed on that asset alone. From a visualization standpoint, that's huge because most of our customers today may start with their point of pack in one area. They know it needs to get to the other. They have no idea the method it's going to go, the number of days it's going to go, but they have rules around that. Can't take more than 72 hours to get there. They don't care how it gets there, but it's got to be there 72 hours. So that unpaired mode is about to be released. I got a couple slides left. When we talk about the platform, it's an operational platform. In other words, most of it sits behind the operations department. It has rules around what you can do. It literally can generate thousands, if not tens of thousands of types of business requirements. From routes, deviations, alerts, alarms, temperatures, humidity, shite. You can create specific rules that it has to go to. You can create escalations. It is not a finished product that you can walk into somebody today and you can say, you can punch that button today and we'll do exactly that route. We're getting to that with some of the tools we're doing. But fundamentally, it can do so many things that it's important that we kind of walk through the customer and process how to do that. The TAMs play a huge role in that. Almost everything we do once we get to this part of the conversation is around, let's talk about your use case. How can we demonstrate that on your platform? Let's queue up a POC. Let's get you started. But it will do a lot of things. And it can be tiled. It's a really cool application. The last slide I have is, and we're going to start to build more of these into the deck of presentations, is the early data we had a year ago was really focused around kind of just land runs. Over the last 9 months, we're now up to 12 airline certs. We probably got another 2 or 3 verbals on, another 6 to 8 that are in flow. We expect that number to be 20. Most of the customers we talked to today, as part of the supply chain visibility, they want to know how this works. The system auto configures, so it will know if it's moving by ocean, it will know if it's moving by airline just based on the parameters that device sees. And so we can start to give a holistic look of that entire journey to the customer, either in real time or in a delayed fashion, and we can start to do all kinds of performance parameters on top of that. They can be time that it's sat in an airport, time that it's sat in the distribution hub, time that the truck sat idle for that. But we can build a whole set of profiles for the customers and sets of tools in the platform that they can use. But fundamentally, they can start to create a lot of metrics that they use to improve the operational ability of their business as well as to drive that better performance. I think I'm probably at time now. Okay. Any questions? Any comments?
Morning. So I'm Steve Mason, the Director of Business Development for LoJack. So Michael was up here yesterday talking about LoJack and what the brand means. And it resonates in everybody's mind. Before the acquisition, the majority of us have probably heard of LoJack before, right? So you look back at Alice Cooper, so people may listen to this music, he wrote a song about it, it was Pontiac, and LoJack got it back. The McGrath, he's got a song about it, how it's on the Chevy Impala. So it's really been a part of pop culture that resonates with everybody. So they think of it as the product that gets something important in their life back, but nobody really knows how it works, right? So LoJack actually has a great relationship with law enforcement. It's part of our secret sauce that makes this happen, right? So when a car gets stolen, it goes up through Endless, a database with the law enforcement. We know that it's stolen, we're able to activate it, and then find the car. But the other part of this is we have over 14,000 tracking computers in vehicles and aircrafts around the country, mostly 29 states, but where cars are majorly stolen. So what does this mean? We have a great relationship with law enforcement. We have a recovery rate that's far enough, over 90%. A little bit higher, but legal doesn't want us to talk about it, so we just say 90%. But it just shows what the brand can do. It's been in business for over 30 years. People know what it is. So the conversation this week has been about pivot to SaaS and what we're doing. And the same actually goes for a LoJack. So LoJack was a little bit of a one-trick pony, right? It was a black box that got stuck in a car, and when it activated, we'd go out and find it. Didn't really do anything else but that, but it worked very, very well. So after the acquisition, we kind of came down and we said, what do we do? What do dealers want? We know one of the key things that they want is inventory management. So that was one of our SaaS-based applications with LotSmart. We were able to create an inventory management product for dealers so they could track their cars on the lot, because that was their number one request from LoJack. And on top of that, dealers are sometimes cheap. They don't really want to pay for it, right? So how are they going to pay for their inventory management? They need a product to sell through. And that's where SureDrive came into play. So now LoJack, which was just a single box VHM company, really became a SaaS applications company. And then we're even going to take it a step further. That black box is now combined with telematics. So now we're going to be able to go and expand to 50 states and track vehicles and start to integrate more with law enforcement. It's actually a really exciting time. So the first SaaS-based application is LotSmart. So LotSmart has a lot of value. There's some things that we probably just don't know about the dealer channel that actually makes LotSmart really important. Dealers want to be able to find cars in their lot. They want to be able to find them quickly because if they can turn a car over and sell it, that's how they make money. Customer comes in at 6 o'clock, needs to find a car, they use LotSmart and they can find it before they close, because if they don't, that customer is going to go to another dealership. But low battery life is really the core to this. So what most I know is for OEMs, if the dealer has a low battery in the car and it dies, the OEM will not pay for that battery, so it's back on the dealership. So it could cost them hundreds of dollars. And that's where LotSmart comes in. We're able to monitor these things, so we can alert the dealer that these are going on, so they can actually be proactive, and then go ahead and change the battery, charge the battery, make sure that it works before a customer goes to that car. Because if a customer goes to a car with a dead battery, the car's 11. It doesn't matter what's wrong with it. They don't want that specific car. But also unauthorized alerts. So dealers want to know, is a car moving late at night? What happens? Cars get stolen off the lots. This is a way to protect the car, to know that the vehicle is stolen, and then we can go ahead and track it down, utilize LoJack to find it, be part of the system, help them get back the vehicle before it goes across the border. And really the key part is selling it through. We'll talk about SureDrive in a second, but dealers need to make money off this product, and that's why we came up with SureDrive, so they can sell it through the consumer channel. The SureDrive has a lot of benefits. The big thing that we see here is LoJack was great with stolen vehicle recovery. The CalAmp was great with CrashBox. Putting them together is the best of both worlds. It's really a sales pitch to the consumer. They can protect their family, protect their investment, and monitor it throughout the day. So virtual boundaries, we're all concerned about the family fleet. When you look at the average garage, there's about 2.3 cars, and about 35% of households have 3 cars. So the big question we get is, all right, all the OEMs have a product in the car that tracks the vehicle. Why do we need SureDrive? And the answer is, you need SureDrive because you don't have one app that can monitor your entire family fleet. You have 3 cars, not all 3 are Mercedes, and not all 3 are going to be a Honda. So with SureDrive, you're able to manage your family, know if somebody's in an accident, have a command center 24/7, 365 sitting behind you to alert you, and then for alert law enforcement that there was an accident, so you can protect your household. Know where they are, know when somebody's speeding. Everybody wants to know if their kid's driving a little too fast, and they want to be alerted right away, because you want to be able to call them up and get them. So. And then triple R early warning was something that came from LoJack. LoJack was known for an early warning product where if the car is moving without the keys in the car, you get alerted. kind of following Super Sure Drive with the same application because the customers know about it, so they recognize it. So dealer benefits. You know, when you're going to buy a new car today, dealers don't make money on new cars. Those days are long gone. There's nothing there. What they do make money on is in the back end. So when they offer you tire and wheel, Scotch guard for the back, then insurance products like that, transmission repair, that's where the real money is. You know, if you see those little connections on the side of your windows, it's because they paid $20 because they want to sell you some insurance product to go along with it. But that's the way that dealerships are able to make money. And that's where SureDrive comes in. The ability to sell something through the back end, protect your family. And that's one of the key pitches for the product as well. And so we try to take a step past that as well. So not also can you make money in the F&I office, but how do you make money in the back end? So with SureDrive, we're actually giving the dealership mileage reports. So they can track the consumers, know when it's time to come and do an oil change. So your car probably comes up to 5,000, 7,500 miles, and you say, probably time to bring it in for an oil change. You may not go back to your dealer. You may go to Jiffy Lube, Cut Place, maybe the cheapest product in town. This is a way for the dealer to contact you, say that there's an opportunity to come back in, maybe get a discount, get you back into that dealership, and be part of the family. Now, people go anywhere to buy a car wherever the car is the cheapest, but they don't necessarily go back there for service. So that's how we keep it sticky with the dealership and the customer, keep that relationship going for many, many years. And then just building customer loyalty. I mean, that's really just a big part of this to get them back. I mean, a customer can go anywhere. If you get them back to your dealership, that's you can keep the customer for a lifetime. They're always going back to your dealership. You can buy a new car, buy a car for your family. So our target customers, the LoJack channel is really for dealers. There is 17,000 new franchise dealers across the United States. There's 20,000 independent dealers across the United States as well, selling used cars. So we have something for everything. The LoJack channel really just focuses on that, but there's a product that everybody needs as well. But we need to continue to expand that. The consumer channel going direct, LoJack does go direct, but having a consumer product, we'll talk about Pioneer a little bit later on, but the ability to package something and give it to a consumer, make it tangible, is the product that could go through that channel as well too. Insurance, first notice of loss, obviously a big part with crash box. There's an opportunity to sell the product through the insurance channel with SureDrive, so the insurance channel knows if an accident occurs. And there's actually a great story with rental. So with the rental fleet, I think that's one of our bigger successes that we've found so far. So you could use this for a large rental fleet, but where we've been successful is small motor fleets at dealerships. So I'd like to tell a story. There was a dealer the other day that called up and said, hey, one of my customers I think is doing 135 miles an hour. Can you look to see if this is true? And we're like, yeah, let's just double check. The guy's doing 135 and a 55. So we let the dealership know. They were obviously very upset. They called the customer. Customer denied it 3 times. Went back, showed the report of how fast they were going, because they hit over 100 twice, and they took the keys and said never come back. So that's how they can manage their accident. And then it takes it a step farther. Another customer got into an accident, fender bender. We send the crash box report directly to the dealership when it occurred. Called up the customer, no, nothing happened. Customer comes back, tries to drop off the keys. They stopped the customer, went out, looked at the car, and saw it had damage on it. Now it's got to go through insurance. So now you can be proactive with things. You can manage your rental fleet. Dealerships have small rental fleets, large rental fleets, but it's a great opportunity to manage dealerships and get in the door with dealerships to be able to start the conversation and sell the product as well. And I won't get too far into white label opportunities, and we're going to talk about Pioneer, which is a great example of a white label opportunity. But there is a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of need. SureDrive is a great base platform that can be changed very quickly. I should say very quickly, not around quick enough. Sorry. But it can be changed for a lot of other opportunities. So. And there's an aggressive roadmap, right? There's a lot of things that will continue to change. We've made great strides to get where we are, but there's a lot of cool things that are coming out too. Like 24/7 roadside assistance. It's been a request on SureDrive. We'll bring it. We'll give it away for 6 months for free, and then upcharge the dealer and consumer. They want to take a longer subscription. So, Alexa, and if that and this, another thing that when you drive up to your house, how cool would it be if your car actually turn on your lights in your house, right? It'd be a great opportunity. Something that we could very well do. maybe with JSON, I don't know, fit in here as well. Payment processing, so people want to be able to pay for things in the app. You know, we got to get away from people calling the call center, having to do the payments through there. So payment processing will be incorporated into the application. Maybe we do monthly subscriptions, annual subscriptions, keep the interaction out with the command center, let them do it right there. Pay for parking. These are all rev share opportunities that we have. And personalized vehicle photos, you've been saying this for years, but people want to be able to have their own photo of their car on the application. We need to bring that to them. That's something that we'll do here very shortly. Yeah. No questions, John. Anybody else for John can answer? Ask questions. I think you can support larger business shared drive. I mean, the question is how many vehicles can you put on it? We've put a lot actually on the application. And I think there's two things, right? There's LotSmart, which is a great way to manage your fleet. They manage mileage, maybe fuel that goes on there. If you're looking for more of a mobile applications, you just kind of go through. If you've got a small business fleet of like 10 or 15 cars, shared drive is perfectly fine. We've had people come to us asking to put it on with no issues. We've had 15 cars on the account. If you're talking hundreds, the application may get a little, I don't want to say clunky, but there's not an easy way to go through 100 cars. That's where the lots are. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, something that's new is the LotSmart mobile application. That would actually be a way to manage that. So let's take a look at it. And that's something where I think could be adjusted if it needs to an application like that. The LotSmart, the mobile application, is what you're looking for. So,
Steve,
yeah.
two questions. One,
Does it come in Spanish?
we're gonna do them both. Spanish translation and what we call app international.
Yeah, so I know reports happen. I'm going to look at a nod when I say this, and you can shake his head no. So in order of going to Spanish, I'm going to use words from Carl. If you have a PO, I think it could happen. It's not more of a difficult thing to translate into Spanish. It just costs money and time. So if that needs to happen, it can. And Frank, we've all talked about it. It's hard there. So it's very, very possible. But I think if there's an opportunity that needs it, I think that's what we'll look at.
You plan to do white label as a talent? Should drive talent, local. You can sell it. No, it's a matter of brand recognition. So with your customers, if they know their talent brand or it's quite possible. No, the point is an international low jack is a PHP.
Yeah,
so,
no, I get
it's another opportunity to look in talent.
Sure, I mean,
Okay.
again, that's just another way.
Okay.
In terms of making it available, like for a demo, you can make it available, but to make it actually available, I think we need to get a translation mark on it. You get so LotSmart, one of the key things that we do need to do here aggressively, especially with the new VLU 11, our one-box telematics solution with LoJack for all 50 states, is create really two things to get it to work. A dealer loyalty program. So you'll see Ford's got a new app called Ford Pass, GM, they've got credit cards, their own applications. So as you go into these dealerships, they're going to give you points. If you buy a new 2024 car, you get 14,000 points automatically. That's the equivalent of 3 oil changes. So really, like gamification point system is really becoming big now. We need to build that into the applications when the customer goes in. They get points for going for service. They can cash in the points for service and build it through the app. Again, it's another way to keep the dealer and the consumer sticky together so they don't actually go off and build something themselves. So I'll jump down to the bottom. We're really a rev share opportunity, right? So as we do these things, we want to be able to share revenue with the dealership so that way they continue to sell the product. We also maybe give them something back when the customer buys something in the app. Like maybe they're shopping for a parking spot in a very busy area. That can go back to them. Maybe they buy roadside assistance. A portion of that can go back to them as well. So building that into it. Loaner programs, we talked about it before with Crashbox. So one of the key things that people are looking for is if you go through a toll booth, being able to charge back to the dealerships. There's a lot of companies out there that do that, but we kind of got the infrastructure. We just need to build it all, put it together as another tool to sell. And then really LoJack Beyond is probably the more exciting thing, and Michael brought it up after the acquisition of LoJack. There's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of work. We're really just national coverage. So in the next, hopefully 60 days, we'll release what we'll call SBR Plus, which will be 50-state telematics, and we'll put that on the market, and then we'll continue to expand our LE tracking computers in other states where we just those products as well. So. And then instant crash alerts. So when a car is in an accident, right now the way the system works is LoJack actually gets that information and then contacts local police. What needs to happen is that information needs to go directly, visually, to the law enforcement agent, so they can go ahead and respond on that. And the same goes for crash, goes for a stolen vehicle as well too. You know, the game plan is when a car is stolen, LoJack knows where it is, the telematics, and then we go ahead and we'll send that directly to law enforcement so they visually get it. And then we can talk about other things like Michael brought up, maybe having iPad-like devices in police cars, things like that to better track instances like that. And just expanding our coverage. I think we're all excited over the next 60 days with the DLE 11, being able to go to other states outside of the current 29 that we have.
Steve, quick on for regulatory management purposes, do we have any plans to work with direct lenders or captive lenders as a means to streamline inventory?
Yeah. So we should have mentioned it with the dealer channel for one of our consumers. So I know there's conversations going out to larger banks. We do floor planning with dealerships, starting with there, seeing if we can stream down from that side. We do need to have conversations about overages, what we can do. Yeah.
Would this work with like rideshare companies? They have like a nationwide rideshare platform to be able to manage with vehicles on as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we need to do too. And, you know, like Michael said, the LoJack brand, sure, getting it in there. It's the right opportunity to do something out there as well. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, I'm back again, and I promise this is the last time. I've now got 3 minutes to go through 2 applications, so this is going to be fast. I'll try and keep this as concise as possible, but we do want to make sure that everyone in the room has a good feel for the breadth of the applications that you have access to and can sell to your customers. Lender Outlook is an example of that. Ollie here in the second row has closed a deal in Mexico, and we're supporting that via Lender Outlook. So Lender Outlook, you know, had been relatively focused on the domestic North American market. Want to make sure that everyone knows that under specific use cases, Lender Outlook is available. And so what is Lender Outlook? Lender Outlook is very focused on a specific use case and a specific market. Buy here, pay here. So vehicle finance, and more specifically, self-financed, is really the focus of Lender Outlook. And the key item here is that for self-financed vehicle sales, you have to have access to that vehicle for a couple of different reasons. The first is that the financer is actually the owner of the vehicle, technically speaking, and so they have to have access to that vehicle in order to repossess it. In other words, they have to have access to their collateral on that debt. We can track those vehicles. We have workflows to automate the repossession of those vehicles. You know, it's somewhat similar to a stolen vehicle in this circumstance, but what Lender Outlook does is it allows us to do repossession, asset recovery at a low cost within a channel, providing resale opportunities at scale. That is what Lender Outlook does for you. There are a number of different features. I'm not going to go through the entire list because I only have now 2.5 minutes.
Great, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll slow down. Okay. So what does Lender Outlook do for you?
Precise vehicle locations, there's the repossession workflow. There are a number of different device commands that it will support. So for example, many of our applications do not do ping on demand. Many of them will not device command, so they will not do a local payment reminder. We have a version of this that will buzz at you in your vehicle if you haven't paid. We have a version of this that will shut down the vehicle if you haven't paid. Now, we advise people to be very cautious in how they implement those features because that's an easy way to make your customer a little upset. But these are features that are specific to Lender Outlook, specific to that use case, that provide excellent benefits for those specific customers. This is not a fleet tracking application where you're going to want to know where my 500 units are today and what's the utilization. But this is an excellent application for being able to cost effectively manage your collateral in the field and having access to it when you need it in order to repossess. Some specific things that we do support in the domestic market, which are very interesting, is we have geofences. So geofence is a pretty standard type of functionality for fleet management, but we've pre-built in all the impound bots. And typically before you repossess the vehicle, there are kind of a couple of different common things that might happen. One is that vehicle might be abandoned, in which case the battery's going to go dead on the street corner somewhere. You're going to want to know about that event so you can recover it. And right after that battery happens, it's towed to an impound lot. If you as the owner of that vehicle, you're on the hook for 50, 100, 150, maybe more, $1,000 in order to recover that vehicle out of the impound lot. So guess what? You want to know about that event quickly so that you're not on the hook.
I'm filling in that
workflow. And again, this is an area that we're investing in to bring out new features and functions.
And I will remind you
for our vehicle finance customers. Keep it in mind. Move on to Ion Fleet. Ion Fleet, should back up here. Most people in the room know this is Asset Outlook. We have rebranded Asset Outlook to be Ion. Ion represents the fusion of three previously existing products: Government Outlook, Fleet Outlook, and Asset Outlook. They are all Ion now. So today you have one application that services all of those fleet management use cases, and it's called Ion. You might also hear it called Ion Fleet to specify a little bit, but it's all about Ion. And for fleet management, this is a well-known space. There are a lot of competitors in this space. Ion Fleet is an excellent application that services almost all of the use cases. It's an area that we're investing in, and we're building out additional features and functions all of the time. Some of the specific use cases that we support here are locate your equipment and vehicles at any time and any place. At the end of the day, what people want to know in the fleet management space are what's in my yard, what's in my yard, what's on my job site, what's at my customer's site, where are my vehicles? How much of this vehicle is in use? What's it cost? More on utilization. How are my drivers driving my vehicles? So all around safety. And then we can do a lot of optimization around job site connectivity, routing, and all number of different use cases around enterprise resource planning, given that intelligence with vehicles. And ultimately, we provide a return on investment by being able to improve the utilization of their fleet, improve the safety of their fleet, reduce the overall cost to operate their fleet, reduce manual paperwork, and integrate this all into their third-party systems. And that's what fleet management is all about. That's where Ion is focused. The really flexible thing that Calix can offer in this space that a lot of other telematics service providers will struggle with is the flexibility and breadth of our platform, which is partly enabled by the flexibility and breadth of our hardware solutions. We have tracking solutions for your fleet, regardless of whether that's a fleet of welders, trailers, over-the-road Class 8 heavy-duty trucks, light-duty vehicles, white vans, anything that you call a fleet, we can help you manage. And that's ultimately the power that Canon can bring to bear in this space. It also makes us extremely broad in the number of customers and channel partners that we can help. And we tend to look at this in a couple different ways. First off is what vertical market are they in? Are they in construction? Are they in long haul? Are they a service van fleet? That's one way to look at it. Another one is really more functional. So are they an OEM? Are they a rental? Or are they an operator? Are they operating the fleet? And all three of these segments we have solutions for. Very different return on investment profiles with these different segments that we're looking at right now versus the fleet operators, which are really different vertical markets. Similar return on investment within those vertical markets, very different here. Your OEMs, they're going to be looking at how do I improve my design cycles? How do I reduce the cost of my vehicles? How do I deliver those more effectively? Your rental market, it's going to be really largely around maintenance and billing automation, as well as some status on the vehicle. And then the operators, those are the fleets. So lots of different verticals that you can find those in. A little game I like to play, nobody else likes to play this game, but a little game I like to play. And if you feel like doing it at the break, you can run down to the I-5, just go out to the overpass, and just count branded vehicles as they pass underneath the overpass. And between the Class 8s and the white-duty trucks, this time of morning, almost 50% of those vehicles have a label on those, right? Jose's Taco Truck, JB Hunt Trucks, this and that yard service. All of those branded vehicles are potential customers for Canon in this space. So this is the feature list for Ion's fleet. We have a broad range of dashboards and analytics to help customers realize the return on investment. Mapping, that's pretty standard. Breadcrumb to give you a historical overview. We support AEMP, so for your construction customers out there, they can actually leverage the OEM installed hardware inside of both CTC at a platform level and also within the application. Geofences, which we can use to enrich the data in lots of different ways. Alerts, reports, and our most recent thing that we just launched within the last 45 days here is a full maintenance model. So if you want to be able to track the maintenance of your fleet, we can do that for all of your different fleet assets. And the other flexible component of this, right, is that it's available to you anywhere. Your construction fleet manager, he's in a white Ford F-150, and he spends all day long driving from job site to job site. He's not necessarily going to have access to a desktop computer, so this information is available to your customers anywhere they go. And that's it. Thank you.
So Fernando's coming to the stage. This is the first of our 3 vertical market presentations. So welcome, Fernando.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be up here again. And as Carl mentioned, I will be going through the first of the 3 vertical markets that we're going to be covering today. As part of these vertical markets, we are not going to dive deep into the products, but we're going to be talking about the market trends, and essentially where it's headed, right? So all of the 3 market vertical presentations that you see, they're going to focus on these 5 core values, okay? These 5 core values might be slightly different for the different market verticals, but the values remain the same, okay? Safety, security, utilization, maintenance, and visibility. A lot of common offerings, a lot of common service features behind them. So let's talk about industrial IoT, okay? The universe of industrial IoT is massive because it covers manufacturing, oil and gas, smart cities, the list goes on. There are a lot of market segments, industrial market segments that are rolled under industrial IoT. But it has some common trends over here, and I'll talk about those. Right now, analysts predict that the TAM for this market is $123 billion in 2021, okay? They also predict, and this is from 4 different analysts, that the TAM is going to expand to $850 to $900 billion by 2026. Now, I myself am a skeptic on those number of projections because there's no way that this market grows that fast. But there is an underlying indisputable fact, and across all of the different market segments, is that adoption rate for industrial IoT exceeds all the other IoT market segments by 45%. What this really points out to me is that majority of the enterprises in the industrial IoT space, they are either looking at an IoT solution at the moment, or they're very early in the deployment. So it's a greenfield for us. And when you look at that growth rate, I mean, there's some truth to it that there is going to be a pretty fast growth rate over there. It's driven by economic value, right? Manufacturing line automation and faster and heavier utilization of kind of like those higher value assets is essentially what's driving this high growth. The top 5 trends in this market, and I've kind of like ranked them over here. The first one is security, security, security. The CIO magazine dubs IoT as the Internet of Threats, okay? And the reason is because with the launch of IoT, it has left a perforated security infrastructure, okay? All different types of connections coming in to either their cloud system or the server side. And it is the thing that leaves the chief information officers and the chief digital officers in these enterprises up at night. The distributed denial of service attacks, they are on the rise and they continue to grow, okay? And so this is a key consideration for industrial IoT. The second one is computing will find a new edge. And what I mean over here is that cloud congestion is a real thing. And crunching massive amounts of data in the cloud is going away, and is going away at a very fast rate, when essentially more and more computing will be done at the edge computing device versus just sending data streams from multiple applications that might be enabled over there to the cloud, okay? So you will see more and more of our customers and more of our ecosystem trying to do much more computing at the edge. Smart devices. This is different than processing and computing. And the reason why I mention this is because we expect, or the market expects, these edge computing devices to have much more situational awareness. Okay? And what I mean by that is it needs to be enriched with sensors. There will be environmental sensors, motion sensors, vision sensors, and other instrumented sensors that will essentially drive better analytics and more use cases. The next one is next generation of connectivity. And connectivity, I kind of split them into local connectivity and wide area connectivity. local connectivity with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, Zigbee, and then essentially with wide area connectivity with cellular connectivity, where there are transitions happening, as I mentioned yesterday, all over the world, from 2G to 4G, 3G to 4G, and ultimately to 5G, where we believe LTE Cat-M will be the connectivity of choice for IoT. And the next one is a smart way to maintain. And what this points out to is predictive maintenance. Okay, predictive maintenance, as intuitive as that sounds, has very, very low adoption rates today still. So this is an area where essentially our entire ecosystem of industrial IoT is going to be focused on. Now, for this presentation, when we talk about industrial IoT, I'm going to focus on the construction market vertical, which is a very exciting space for us. And we have an established pedigree and position over there, and we have construction-grade solutions that are available today for our sales force to adopt. So, looking at those 5 core values that I talked about, here are some of the key offerings. The ones that are trending, can see it very well, are in bold. Now, the construction ecosystem consists of, as you walk down the line, it's essentially the construction OEMs, it's the construction OEM dealers and third-party dealers, it's the rental companies, and it's the construction contractors. Okay, that's the ecosystem of construction IoT. And our ultimate goal is to drive these solutions across that entire value chain. So we can essentially provide that service not only for the construction OEMs, but across that entire customer base, across their equipment lifecycle. So let's talk about the first one on here, which you cannot see very well, but I can see it at least from here, security. Driver authentication is extremely important for not a construction OEMs, but our rental companies. And it's been an outstanding request for quite a few of our salespeople over here to have some level of driver authentication. And what this really means is giving the ability to essentially the construction rental companies to provide credential-based access to their operators, either through keypad and a hardwired keypad, or through an RFID or BLE type of system. Okay, now this is an area where we need to focus on and try to provide a solution. Advanced security, extremely important. Over here, we have a solution in place today, which is what we call level 2 security, which not many people understand. Once again, it's kind of like internal jargon that we have. But what that really means is advanced cryptographic security on the device side, and then essentially on the infrastructure side, what our InfoSec team has been working on with SOC 2 compliance, etc. This level of security is extremely important. And if you are ever engaged with any of the people in this construction ecosystem, definitely broach the subject of security, because it will go a long way. Utilization. Utilization ultimately points to being able to get the most out of these assets. How can you utilize these assets to the maximum? And that's what essentially the rental companies and contractors want to do. Very simple for the fleet market. We've been doing this for over a decade now. But for the construction market, this is still fairly new. On the maintenance side, a lot of our construction OEMs today utilize Talent's edge computing device to pipe all of their vehicle bus and the maintenance data to their R&D engine so they can further refine their design and development process. Okay? When a failure happens, they want to understand how it happens. So it's not guesswork, right? If a certain arm of a machine breaks down, they can pinpoint exactly why it broke down so they can improve it in the next generation of their design. That's something that's being done today, okay? Now, what they want to do in the future is, okay, We got all of that data, but now we want to change the behavior of a machine. Like for example, I want to put less stress on that corner of my machine. They can accommodate that by doing ECU updates to their machines over the air. A very, very important kind of like benefit for them. Visibility. So this goes back to Frank's talk yesterday about ion pads, right? Our OEMs want to connect anything and everything. And it becomes even more important for certain construction types, such as the Bobcat telehandler, right? Where they have over a dozen high-priced attachments. Now, they want to provide visibility to all of those attachments for the users so that they know exactly where it is, the proximity, all of those things. This slide essentially highlights the target prospects, and let me just walk through the color coding over here. Green means that they are a pre-existing customer. Yellow means that we have engaged them. Black means that we have some work to do. Okay. These customers over here, or prospects, are ranked by revenue. Okay. If you look at the construction OEMs, we got the big kitty over here, Caterpillar, who has the majority of the market share by far, but following really close is Komatsu, Hitachi, Volvo, etc. Right? The construction rental companies, we engage with United, Aztec Group, Sunbelt, one of our big rental companies that is a pre-existing customer and looking for expansion over there as well. Now, the construction contractors was a bit of a surprise to me. Okay? These are global conglomerates. They have tens of thousands of assets under management, not just industrial machines, but a rich light and heavy duty fleet as well. These companies drive billions of dollars of revenue. For example, Ritchie, they logged, I believe, $45 billion. Bechtel, that Carl and Paul talked about with our Hitachi engagement, logged about $34 billion. And Ritchie employs, I believe, 195,000 people worldwide. So these are massive conglomerates that, at least from our research, we see little to no fleet or industrial machine management capability over there. So that's an area that I think we have to dig into to really understand what is uncovered with these construction contractors. So this is essentially the vertical solution landscape that we have. Let me walk through this slide because it's going to follow through in the other verticals that Greg and Dominic are going to talk about. This is a stoplight chart. Green means good, yellow means we are at par, red means we got work to do, and gray means we need more information to really evaluate based on the attribute where they stand. On the top, we have Calam versus our other peers, and in the first column, we have the major attributes that we're ranking up against. We try to be very, very objective in this chart to basically paint a real picture of where we stand. First one, scale. All of these customers up there, we put the heavy hitters up there, they all have scale. Last year, we had track unit as yellow, but they have proven that they have scale, especially with the traction that they're getting in the market. When it comes to OEM relationships, Calam has the strongest OEM relationships with the OEM that we engage with today. But a lot of our other peers have these strong OEM relationships with the ability to do assembly line fits as well. Sometimes their product's edge computing device is sitting next to our edge computing device. That's a bigger problem that we have to solve long term. When it comes to portfolio breadth on our edge computing devices, we have a massive portfolio. Okay? Our TTU products go into the broad-based construction vertical across the board, and the new HMU device essentially changes the game for us. And that takes us to pedigree, where this is an important area that I want to talk about when it comes to the construction vertical. The construction vertical is very different. Okay? This is where construction grade matters. We have developed this pedigree through years of heavy technical engagement with Caterpillar. Okay? And we have instilled that pedigree into one of the broad-based devices that we brought to market earlier this year, which is the HME3640. Now, the reason why that device is so important is because it utilizes our common 3640 embedded software platform. Now, let me tell you why that's important, apart from kind of like, okay, we got our firmware in there. We can enrich that firmware to provide more services, right? When we talk about our tags, now we can enable our tags, serverless tags, through that type of product, okay? Now, when I say construction grade, okay, so yeah, you've got better housing. It's just not that. It's construction grade shock and vibe, construction grade consideration for the chemical composition of the battery, enclosures that are compliant with construction standards, and the list goes on. And we have instilled all of that knowledge into a broad-based market. When it comes to making an edge computing device that is construction grade, we are by far the top of the game, okay? Like, for example, CTR, one of our biggest customers, utilizes an edge computing device to go to market. Global capability. This is an area which sometimes gets understated. Yesterday, Russell talked about Amazon, the Amazon example, and how he had to walk them through the rat's nest of global cellular connectivity. Extremely important, extremely key value driver for us, because all of these industrial machines, they're global. They require global certification, and Calam has the expertise and the know-how to be able to facilitate that. Security, I've already talked on security long enough, but our TLS-based security that we have spent considerable effort and time on to develop is in full production now and deployed with the top 10 list customer OEM that you see up there. Vehicle driver grouping we are on par with. Analog I/O is another key benefit that we have on our application side, where we can enable additional instrumentation. AMP integration, this is very important because it allows for integration of other edge computing devices, along with ingesting data from other edge computing devices and to and fro from them. Sensor tags is a differentiator for us, right? Apart from CTR, who we believe has a sensor tag, have not seen it in production, we are the only ones who will be able to provide that capability in this ecosystem. And J9039 data, extremely important, because that vehicle bus data from these industrial machines is what drives economic value across the board, across that ecosystem. And now I will turn it over to Dan XP and Mark Moore, who will take us through their sales journey with Caterpillar, Little Kitty, Bobcat, and with Kubota. Thank you.
Almost there.
Sibilance. I'll skip there. Okay, so I'm going to kick it off here talking about some of our success stories in the OEM heavy equipment space. As Kanana mentioned, we're going to be talking about Kubota, Bobcat, and Caterpillar. And oh, I guess this is me. There we go. You know, when you thought back to Kanana's presentation and he showed the top 10, the one company you didn't see on there that we're going to be talking about is Kubota, which is interesting. That's a top 10 revenue list. There's a lot of companies out there who sell a lot of machines that don't charge a lot for their machines. So when you think about Caterpillar, you know, for their larger excavators and bulldozers, they're charging like, you know, $10 million. Well, there's a lot of companies out there who are selling skid steers who charge anywhere from $10,000 to $35,000 for a skid steer. And they sell a lot more skid steers than they sell excavators and bulldozers around the world. And so there are many companies out there like a Kubota, for example. They may not make the top 10 list from a revenue standpoint, but from a sheer number of assets standpoint, they make a lot of sense for us. You're going to see there's a huge difference in maturity between Kubota and Bobcat and Caterpillar as far as their technical acumen and their desire to do telematics. When we first engaged with Caterpillar 7.5 years ago, they had already been doing telematics on a very small scale, and they were in a JV, and they were looking to take that capability in-house. So they had the desire, they had the resources and the ability to do that. When we first engaged with Bobcat about 6.5 years ago, they thought it was really cool and they wanted to do it, but they had no idea how to go off and do it. We've been engaged with Kubota now for about 4.5 years, and we're just starting to realize some revenue from the relationship. So you can see there are these very long tails with these OEMs, in many cases, to get them to the point of revenue. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we have to help them make their business cases many times, because they know they need to do something, but they don't always know how to justify it internally. And so many times you have to do the benefit analysis for them. You have to help them understand what's the benefit for them, the OEM, what's the benefit for the dealer, and what's the benefit for the end customer as well. So there's a lot of time invested in these customers to make this happen. Typically, you start out in engineering or IT, and then by the end, you're getting into the marketing group. Once you know you get to the marketing group, you know you're in a good spot, because that means they're actually looking at how they can position the product into the marketplace. From a Kubota standpoint, as you can see, the annual contract value is about just over $1 million right now. When you're going to see the numbers for Bobcat and Caterpillar, those numbers are significantly larger. But that's just because we're getting started with Kubota. We've got a lot of plans for them to get them to grow to a very significant stage. Like I mentioned, 4.5 years in, when we first started out with Kubota, we actually were all in, Carl. We actually, when we bid on the project, it was a combination of SaaS and hardware. And when we bid on it 4.5 or 5 years ago, our SaaS services that we have today weren't nearly as mature as what we have. And we actually bid on the RFP with a partner of ours jointly. We went in together with a partner on a rev share agreement. We ended up not getting the deal, but another customer of ours ended up getting the deal. So at the very least, we were getting a hardware component out of it. Our customer went through a couple-year development cycle with Kubota, and then about a year or 2 years ago, they started to get to the point of being close to launch and proof of concept, and things started to fall apart for various regions. And we had to re-engage with the customer directly again to essentially save the deal. Kubota told us that if we did not re-engage with them directly, the program would have been canceled. So this past year, we spent some time with the customer to basically dig this out from the grave and to get it going again. And they're finally to the point now where they're ready to start buying some units from us. So right now, this is a hardware-only deal. That's not very sexy to say at all. And quite frankly, in the global OEM heavy equipment space, that's one of the big challenges that we have, is how do we turn some of these from hardware-only into some SaaS recurring opportunities. So there's two things that we're doing at Kubota right now to really turn this into more of just a one-time hardware hit. The first one is DAS. I've been working with Canada to figure out a DAS offering that we can do for Kubota. It's appealing to them to be able to pay for units over time. So we're trying to work out the right combination of services that we can include in a DAS offering to Kubota. Secondly is our SCI product suite, the Bluetooth tax. Within Kubota, they have their own dealer rental channel that they manage. And they have a lot of attachments, a lot of equipment that sit at those dealer networks today. So there's a lot of interest for Kubota to be able to track these attachments as they come and go from the dealer networks. Now, it doesn't make sense to use, for example, a cellular connected device to be able to do that. But at the same time, from an SCI standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because it's cost lower. You have one device that can manage multiple pieces of hardware within their dealer network. I want to also talk about Tim Smith and the FAA group. Tim Smith and just in general the FAA group have been fantastic at basically resurrecting this opportunity as it was almost dead. So I want to point them out, and also everyone else from the sales management team that's been able to support us with this account as well. We have big plans for Kubota. The good thing with Kubota is they are a global company. There's many, many opportunities for them around the world. Kevin Wu, I was on a call with Kevin Wu just the other week. He was talking with Kubota in Australia, and they're watching closely what Kubota USA does. Internally for USA, the opportunity size is around 35,000 units a year internally. That's just from a hardware standpoint. We're looking at anywhere from 5 to 10 million just from the US group alone. And then you start taking that out across the world, and it starts to multiply significantly. That's it. That's Kubota. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Mark Lohr, and I have been with CalAmp for about a year and a half or so. And before I dig into Caterpillar and Bobcat, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about, Dan mentioned that these heavy equipment customers are hardware only. I want to talk about hardware only versus what I'll call OEM revenue. And my tenure so far has been working with some of the PTC radio customers. I've been calling on Bobcat for about a year, and I've just recently joined the Caterpillar team. And so I have seen how the OEM team interacts with their customers, the types of things we do on a daily and weekly and quarterly basis. And prior to joining CalAmp, I spent some time in the semiconductor industry, and I have worked for companies where a large portion of our offering is purely just hardware. And the value add that you bring to the customer is a data sheet, a qual package, and a lead time, and 6 other guys do the same thing, and you were left at the mercy of who a buyer wants to get an order to, kind of thing. That is not a fun way to go about your business. And I'm going to draw some pretty clear differentiation between that type of hardware-only revenue and the type of revenue that's being generated by our OEM customers today. And so on behalf of the 25 plus people that work in our Ian Curry office, that work in the OEM team, and the folks that surround that from FAEs and order admins and quality and production planning, I submit to you, and I happen to have it right here, today's top 10 list of why our OEM customers should not be classified as hardware only. And I'll start by saying, and I'll spare you the David Letterman drama and content comedy and all that kind of stuff, but the action countdown. No celebrities running in, handing me this, balloons. So the first one is custom product development. I mean, this group has its own hardware engineering group, firmware, software, mechanical engineering, new product introduction, quality, et cetera. The products that Caterpillar, for example, are buying, they're not TSPU-based products. These are full custom products. They make up a line of what's called the PL line or product link line at Caterpillar. And there are 17 different devices that we are currently shipping to Caterpillar. So this is a big endeavor. Bobcat uses the base of the old 4520 and today's 3640, but there's a lot of custom stuff that is done to that as well. So it is not a standard off-the-shelf type of product. And the second thing is the way we engage with these customers is it's not go to the list price or pull out a standard presentation. This is all statement of work and proof of concept type of engagements. And as was discussed yesterday, when statements of work land on your desk or RFQs land on your desk, if they happen to have been written by an incumbent or somebody that's worked with the customer on the front end, your chances of winning are much better. So that type of activity is what's going on with Bobcat and Caterpillar today. Certification. The last 2 years, Caterpillar has done $6.7 million of revenue in NRE, and over half of that has been with certifications. There are 201 countries that we are doing certifications for on the Scorpion product today. One of the other devices is 175 countries, so it is a big sticking point that we have with the customer. And by the way, that's the initial certifications, and then from a recurring point of view, we manage all the renewals as the years go by for all the various countries. That is a big effort, and there's a lot of revenue associated with that. From a cellular migration point of view, today we've shipped about 650,000 3G products to Caterpillar. And the new version that you'll see on the slide here is the Scorpion product down, which is our LTE-based product. Of that 650, there's probably going to be maybe 500,000 units that they need to migrate upwards to LTE capability. Bobcat, we shipped about 60,000 total units, and there will be a good portion of those that need to migrate up to LTE as well. So from a getting to recurring point of view, from a revenue point of view, you can make an argument that cellular migration is something that kind of builds that in a little bit every 3 to 5 years. Next will come Cat-M and 5G and everything else. And from a successive generation and revenue and revision point of view, we're on our 2nd generation of products with Caterpillar and with Bobcat as well. So there is, kind of built-in roadmaps that are going on with both of these customers. That is a very sticky point as well. And I think one of the things that clearly differentiates the OEM revenue from traditional hardware only is that as a hardware only guy, it is difficult to get time with a customer. You're begging and scratching and getting creative to try to get somebody to come out and meet you in the lobby. With these customers, our calendars are full of weekly conference calls to discuss certification on various roadmaps, to look at the quality of milestone releases, to look at overall product management. There are monthly reviews that are held in person. There are quarterly business reviews. So it is a very constant and ongoing communication stream that goes on with these customers. There's also something called APQP and PPAP. These are just fancy words for what Dan mentioned, is that this construction industry, we have to deliver essentially automotive grade quality parts. So there's a lot of extensive environmental and electrical testing that goes on. There are audits that these customers do of our production facilities. There's documentation we have to provide about every single step of the process that we do from a product delivery point of view. That is a big effort, and it's very interactive that we do with the customer. And then also as part of the statement of work, there's a lot of hosted app and script file development that we do, and that is for charge kind of thing. So we generate revenue for the things that customize the telematics solutions for these guys. So that is my proposal or my discussion, I guess, as to I think there should be a category of hardware only. I think there should be OEM revenue, and then there's SaaS or full platform kind of stuff. So I submit that OEM revenue should be its own separate category, whether I'm successful. But now, make no mistake, we are firmly branded, with the mission statement to expand into microservices and platform-based revenue, and we'll talk about that as we go through these. So from a Caterpillar and a Bobcat perspective, what are the goals of telematics with these guys? Well, from the same side selling point of view, taking the strategy, and what do we deliver to them? Let's talk about the problems that we solve, or that telematics, first of all, solves for Caterpillar and Bobcat. I think there's 3 things that are very important for these guys. One of them is telematics provides a great vehicle by which for them to stay in touch with customers after they ship the machine, right? Whether it's the contractors, the individual users, or the dealers. They have very mature platforms that are available that deliver a whole host of information from asset management and lots of other data that these customers have access to. I think the other thing is you want to try and get some kind of ROI on your telematics investment. And Kanata mentioned predictive maintenance. This is the single most important ROI metric that these companies have today. And they have been on record as saying they've seen about a 30% increase in preventative or predictive maintenance for these for the 2 customers since telematics has started. Cat's been in production for about 4 years. Dan said it was about a 7.5-year relationship. It took a long time to get to that production ramp, but here we are. Bobcat, the exact same thing. They've only been in production for about 1.5 years, and it took about the same amount of time for the gestation. So those are the staying in touch with the customers, predictive maintenance. The other one, the third one, is a little bit more esoteric, and that has to do with something Kanata kind of touched on, and that is the pursuit of designing the perfect machine. There are an awful lot of real deep parameters that we extract from the CAN bus on these machines that are fed directly back into the quality and the reliability plans of these customers. They can then take that data and make changes to, torque arms and frames and all other kind of mechanical things to adjust to the way operators are using the machine. So this is integral for them maintaining their brand identity, for maintaining market share, and attaining customer loyalty. Because you saw the list, there's a lot of people you can go buy a skid steer from or an excavator from. These machines are out there for 10 or 20 years, and these contractors are always adding to their fleet. So if Bobcat and Caterpillar have the right customer experience, they're going to get the repeat business. So talking about Caterpillar in specific here, I mean, everybody knows these guys are, $55 billion Dow component, great big company. They grew tremendously in 2018, and we were the beneficiary of that. I mean, CalAm did $48.5 million in revenue with Caterpillar last year. And, they announced earlier in the middle of the first quarter, there's maybe some headwinds coming in the second half of the year, and Cat has said similar things for the first half of 2020, so we'll see how that all plays out. But specifically for Caterpillar, the problems that we're solving for them is we are the global certification and delivery team for their LTE and satellite GPS-based solutions. That's what we do. We have become an extension of their internal telematics team. And the communication that exists with these guys is absolutely fantastic to observe and to be a part of. So some of the challenges, I throw the $30 million number up there. Scorpion product family is new, it's just coming into production this summer, and that number will, certainly grow, but the overall revenue is going to be a lot higher than that as we migrate from the first generation to the LTE-based products. So to get to how do we expand out of this OEM kind of revenue base and get into microservices and platform-based stuff? Well, there are two things. Caterpillar has recently made a commitment. They're bringing in new people to their what they call digital platform and connectivity team, industry heavyweights that we have a series of meetings with coming up over the next few weeks, and we will look for little sectors and places that we can nibble on. Also, Caterpillar is not just Caterpillar. There are 21 different companies that we engage with, and those companies all serve the various segments of the construction market space. So we have to go to them and find out, from a prospecting point of view, are there any requirements they have that aren't currently being served by the mothership, and try to do some pilots and some evaluation templates. So that's our mission statement there. From a Bobcat point of view, like I said, we've shipped about 60,000 units total. We are in production now with the second generation product. And just like Caterpillar, the problems that we're solving here is we are kind of, maybe in a little bit bigger way, we are sort of the full turnkey offload for their telematics hardware development and delivery. Both from a certification point of view as well. Today, much of the work has been based in Fargo for the North American market. There's expansion underway with the team in the Czech Republic. We are beginning to ship the production parts to them this summer for all the European-based machines. So the problems that we have solved for them include level 2 security. Now to talk a little bit about this. We have put special hardware and chips in the HMU 3640 that manage all the keys and the certificates. We have invested heavily in providing a full end-to-end TLS communication link between the devices and the host servers and the applications. And why is that important? That's great to get all this technology, but why is it important? The reason Bobcat wants that, in addition to the Internet of Threats kind of comment he made, is that they want to be able to do remote start and stop of machines. They want to be able to derate machines over the air. If a person is late returning it or whatever, they want to be able to turn the throttle down so it can't go full bore. When you start to do remote access to machines, that is a very critical link that is compromised. That's a lot of damage to it. The other thing is this is kind of the foundational work for autonomy, for developing autonomous equipment. That is coming soon. From a Bobcat point of view, L2 security is, I think, going to be our first hook into getting out of the OEM relationship and into expanded services. We're in negotiation with them now. The company, by the way, has invested tremendously in the PKI infrastructure that Kanana mentioned and doing all the certifications that are required and taking out the proper software licenses to maintain this L2 security environment, because it is a living, breathing thing, and there is cost associated with it. And so there are 2 subscription models that Bobcat is evaluating right now. Within the next month or so, I expect that to be closed, and we will have an expansion from this quote OEM relation or OEM revenue into more of a platform-based revenue model. The last thing I'll say here, that picture in the lower right is kind of cool. That is a picture of an electric or battery-operated excavator. These guys are kind of branching out and getting contemporary, and the European team right now is evaluating our unit for an electric excavator. Kind of cool, right? I think the fact that we are in that is going to be something that's going to spread across all the areas. So I think my time is up from a Bobcat point of view. So to add the 7 million of Bobcat on there, we're 60.
Hey, Mark, one other question on is there a measurement of ROI or safety
I think that's more a question for, the question is there any kind of ROI metric that you need to calculate about to have one?
That's right, yeah.
I know that's really good. The fact is, there, how do you actually say, who's telling you that it has to go at a threshold?
One thing on predictive maintenance. So there's a company that Caterpillar uses called Uptake. Another one of these unicorns, right? Multi-billion-dollar market cap. And so basically what they do is they take the data and basically drive those actual insights back on predictive maintenance, right? So there's a lot of companies doing that type of Are they?
The other comment here is that similar to what Steve was saying on Screwdriver, where the dealership channel captures the maintenance, that's really what Caterpillar is using telematics for, is to capture the maintenance components, direct those back to the dealerships, exactly the same way as the OEMs on the automotive side. So, for example, Finley is a multi-billion-dollar company that's just a Caterpillar dealership for Canada and South America, and they're using the telematics that we power to capture more of the maintenance rather than actually capture third-party.
It's also internal as well, so any of their engineering efforts on product quality, how well the transition is performing over time, right, and modification, then be able to adjust those over the air, firmware, ECU updates, for attached to every ECU attached. So then we can get on the network flash the ECU update settings to maybe adjust and tweak the transmission parameters, right, that allow it a longer life cycle. And while they pull those design improvements.
Okay, break time. We're going to take 15 minutes. Let's be back in here, actually 13 minutes. We'll be back in here at 10 o'clock.
None. Oh, we're good. Oh, yeah. All right. 9:45. 9:45 was right. We're good. You know what it's up to.
I was going to come sit up here with you if you wanted to. I don't think you have anything going on, so we can talk.
One love. You got to stand up for a little bit. Even the other one's messing around.
Any questions? All right, well, if you need anything, he must have just ran.
Short window. I went everywhere but in the stall. Right. You have your time. What's it? You got there. You got there. I know, right?
So if the clicker doesn't work.
Don't worry, I'll dance. You just kind of just motion to me.
Okay. Oh, I'll just stay next slide.
I'll watch. Great. No pressure, just have a good time. You're going to do it out for me. Oh, no, I don't. Drink it up. You got to be able to once you're connected, you would try it. So literally, you'll just walk over and then you're yep. And then I'll plug everything in so it fires up everything. Awesome. And then I'll plug everything in. Right. So I guess it'll stay live because it's plugged in. It should be a presentation. It should stay live. Oh, wait, it doesn't time out if you're not using it? I can wiggle them out. It should. Okay. I'll motion. Or you just maybe come this way. when you walk this way, so I'll tell you when you come here. Yeah, but here's an hour, right? Right. Well, it'll definitely ring well. So, it's just coming off. I'll come up here and make sure you're. I'll go on that tip. Yeah, I meant during the presentation, you should walk. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have to come back up to this where I walk. Okay, you can lock it, then we're good. Because what I'll actually do, I'll probably pick your computer up and put it here because the cable's only this long. Yeah, I do have a thumb drive. I think hold it for save keeping. The problem is, okay, so just having your pocket in case we need it. But I mean, I'm really going to be in the house, so everything. Oh, your bag's right here. We're pretty much on time, so it's not like, if we have to let it just keep it. Can I text to Carl? Carl's sitting right in the front, and he has to sign it for 5 minutes at a time. So he has to keep going and stop. I don't know. We have enough Carl will tell you the time. All right, sure. So I'm managing all the time. Awesome. Carl, you see start or start talking? Yeah, go on. Can you say, guys, we're going to start in 30 seconds.
Hello, everybody. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. Everybody, that's cool.
Come on.
I'm ready to get started. If everybody can take their seats.
That was me.
All right.
Sorry.
There we go. All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Hill. I'm Senior Director of Product Management. I manage the LMUs, TTUs, ATUs, routers, and originally the Device Outlook remote management solution. So bear with me in the beginning if I use the word device. That's sort of what I live, and it's really a big part of my role in the company. But I really want to take a minute to think about what I just said. I don't really consider devices devices. To me, they're edge computing platforms. As I've been in the M10 space for about 20 years now, I've seen this growth of continual improvement in the edge computing platforms. And that's one of the differentiators that we bring to the market. It was one of the first things that CalAmp did as we integrated our embedded intelligence. So it's really one of the neat things about my job is I get to see all the different customers and all these different verticals around the world. So maybe flexing off of what Frank said in his pizza model is how many of the people in the room by raise a hand like pizza? Okay, how about thin crust pizza? All right, how about deep dish pizza? All right, well that's sort of how I look at our customers. They compete sometimes head to head in the same exact market. They leverage our products and our technologies, but some build a deep dish pizza and some build a thin crust pizza, and they think it's the best pizza in the world. So what we're able to do with our services and products is to be able to help these companies build pizzas. Some people like the microwavable one, ready out of the oven, right? So what I'm going to follow on is what Kanana talked about is some of our core values. What we're really trying to do is enable these core values so that customers can take advantage of it. So you've heard a lot about these different values in our whole microservices, our CTC software platform, and then our applications, of course. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a vertical. My vertical is transportation and logistics. It's a very large space. So if we look at this space, you can look at it from different angles. You can be the fleet that's just transporting locally. You can be someone that owns a container or a package that's transforming across all these different modes of transportation. And it's a continually growing space. It's a very large space. It's also a very mature space, but it continues to need to evolve and add technology.
as we heard yesterday, the digital transformation, some companies are still using paper, believe it or not. And as they're trying to move into this IoT domain, sometimes they're driven from their board of directors that we don't have a good IoT strategy. Find a partner that can do it. So this is a good opportunity to kind of look at this in a different way. One of the things to think about is pretty much everything except for maybe the airplane. There's probably a CalAmp device in some form or another on the planes, trains, forklifts, packages, containers. So there's a lot of value and experience that CalAmp has. When we look at the market in general, fleet is a strong market. It's a growing market. You can see it's $34 billion and about 23% CAGR. Lots of vehicles. In the United States, about 70% of packages and freight goes over trucks. But as intermodal starts to come into play, you need to track containers as they move from one mode to the other. And then if we look at asset tracking, you can see it's a bigger market, but the growth isn't quite as strong. I think it's because there's a lot of diversity of asset types. You heard just a minute ago about heavy equipment, all the way down to small pallets and containers. So it's a little bit harder to have a very simple solution for that. So what's really the driving trends in the market? Obviously, cost down. There's faster, better, cheaper. That's a continual theme in the market. Leveraging technology to get better utilization, continuing to maintain and lower the cost of transportation. That's an area where there's been a lot of work and continual evolution and development. And then also, really what the big drivers are starting to be is around security. Kanana mentioned that. IoT, there's a lot of concerns around security. As more and more of this edge intelligence transports data that's of value, then I think there's more of a need to protect it and make sure that it can't be misused or with GDPR. There's also some personal information. We look at the consumer side and the business-to-business space. I think it's a little bit more about the value of their information and competitive threats, or being held as they capture your data and then hold you accountable for that. In one of the security seminars, they said there's a lot more companies that don't disclose that. So I think it's a big threat. But then safety, we heard yesterday from Wade, all about ELD. In the fleet space, ELD is continuing to be deployed in the market. At the end of this year, there's another mandate to get compliance. So that's a big thing that's driving some new technology into the market. They talked moving from paper to digital. But really what excites me, and I think what's going to be the game changer, is when we talk about visibility. This whole edge intelligence that we talk about, being able to have a middleware platform and full solutions that can leverage that, enables you to tailor it. But you hear about video systems, or I think about sensors, temperature sensors, you integrate with all kinds of things. These Bluetooth tags get you a lot of local information. But that's just data. Companies really want business information. So this edge intelligence is going to give us the ability to deliver some services that can help them really monetize and make that data into information. And what the real goal is, I think, is to really understand their complete ecosystem, whether it's just a local fleet or end-to-end. So these are some of the big drivers that I see happening in the market, in this pretty mature market, but it's still a good room for growth. So if I transition a little bit to sort of the fleet solutions, what we've done here is it's a little bit of kind of what we have and what's coming in the fleet space. You can see by the kind of the service offerings. It's a little hard to see on the screen, but in the middle area around utilization and maintenance, we just added the maintenance to Ion Fleet. So that's enabling more and more maintenance services as our vehicle bus continues to grow and get better. We're able to do that more and more. And then obviously utilization is an important thing that fleets really focus on. But as we start to think about safety and security, obviously enabling more security, working internationally, a lot of people, security is very important. Theft, I think that's one thing that CalAmp leverages with our, all our LoJack technology. It's very good to be able to leverage in sort of dual mode between telematics and SVR with RF. And then on the safety side, crash box. It's very important. We heard a lot of analogies yesterday where customer success stories where they can save, insurance costs and all that with crash. But I've also seen some people really use this edge intelligence like video. We have one customer that has a DVR. It's kind of expensive to backhaul a lot of information. Video is pretty heavy when you talk about bandwidth and all that. What they did is they really leveraged this edge intelligence that was leveraging CalAmp's technology in the device to know when triggers and events happen, to be able to decide when to send the data, how quickly to send the data, and those kind of things. That's really the power that I think we have in this market, where we can leverage that to add, again, instead of data, we're adding business information that's actionable and efficient and low cost. We had another customer that Russell was talking yesterday about how you got to understand the value of the business. They looked at their delivery service company, and when they backed up their trucks, because they were so focused on efficiency, their drivers were trying to keep their workforce management system up to date and all that, but they found they had more accidents when they were backing up. So they did this really innovative thing where they, through the OBD interface, when the vehicle was in reverse, they shut off the MDT so that the driver could focus on backing up. Again, this is an application of technology that really enables, I think, higher value to this customer and enable them to save money, obviously getting more sticky with Calent. The other thing I'm really excited about is the Bluetooth tags. As we heard about tools on a truck, that's a really important thing, especially when you talk about service vehicles and service trucks. They have a lot of equipment or expensive assets on the truck. But I also had the pleasure of working with a very innovative company that had designed their own BLE tag, but they're doing a very game-changing system where they wanted to take some of their package tracking in their warehouse and move it into the vehicle. They had an existing system. They were using, CalAmp services, so we had messages going to the CalAmp backend and leveraging the CalAmp services. They had a workforce management system that was a legacy workforce management system, and then they had an ERP system. They wanted, the whole solution to be able to make these decisions on the road of where to route all the different messages and protocols, and some were over, try to use the word direct, some were over MQTT, and some were over HTTPS. So that's the power of where people are really driving these advanced fleets. And through these different services, we're ideally positioned to leverage that. So now switching to asset tracking and container tracking, same thing. I think we'll hear in just a minute from one of our large customers that had a very large deployment of the TTUs and Asset Outlook across their trailers. I think that was one of the things that Calent can bring to the market is fast time to market. That was one that scaled very quickly because as I mentioned before, there's a lot of expectation on IoT solutions. Some companies have studied it for many years, but then they get to the point where they just have to deploy something. Calent was able to bring a full solution to market very quickly. But really what's starting to change is, like we saw the ecosystem in the vehicle, is the ecosystem on trailers, smart trailer, being able to control and leverage under situational intelligence of where to do different things. Obviously, package tracking. One of the things Paul's really been pushing in the product management group is to enable BLE across all our product lines, so that we can enable communication with these tags, which is very important. But also, we're working on a next generation. As we talk about this edge computing, I think you're all familiar with the LMU 3040. It's got a very powerful, we pushed Linux into that. So a lot of the use cases I talked about that we're using some of our routers, we're now able to do in an OBD device. So I think that trend's going to continue. And as we look at sort of next generation product, we're really trying to shrink the number of products, but enhance the capability and power such that there's more flexibility to use one product across different use cases, all enabling over software. So one interesting case to see how extreme some of this stuff goes in our Latin American regions where they have a very high theft problem. Security is very important. They actually have a system either in the tractor or in the trailer. If they feel there's a threat, which they get a lot of hijacking and theft recovery and things like that, where they go into the truck and steal all the contents, they'll actually start to adjust the fuel pump so that the vehicle actually comes to a stop if they detect a threat. That's pretty advanced situational intelligence. And even in the most extreme case, I heard, Jeremy can confirm this, it seems a little extreme, but they would electrify the truck so that when the thieves try to steal the content, they wouldn't be able to do it. So it is true. See, so I mean that's an example of adopting to your customers' needs, right? So again, asset tracking, container tracking is an area where I'm very excited for. I think as Brian Berta talked about, a lot of the smart trailer things that we're doing is really going to play in this space a lot. So kind of shifting gears now a little bit to customers and market opportunities here. I kind of divided up the market and customers into, three sort of categories. On the left, you see the fleet operators. These are the customers that, they operate the fleet, they use a fleet solution, and there's, opportunities. We're working with some of these people. I added another color, a blue color. Many times we leverage through a partner. They're using CalAmp solutions, and then they're, direct interface to the customer. But as you can see, we heard yesterday about AT&T's fleet. We're continuing to drive into this market. I think as the SaaS solutions get more and more powerful, driving in there. These are the top fleets. They're ranked by number of vehicles or fleet size. So there's, I think, opportunity to, as we move into the SaaS domain, to continue to drive and penetrate in that market. In the middle column is a lot of greens because you can see their TSPs. What I think the opportunity here is, these guys have been in the space a long time. These are also ranked by their fleet size. A lot of the domestic ones are going to have to pivot to LTE. Some of them have started to do this. For the sales team in the room, this is a great opportunity to shift the business model to a DAS business model with our OBD devices. Because they're going to have to upgrade. One of the huge offerings that we do is this network protection. There's a lot of concern about the whole network transitions domestically and internationally starting to come to. That is a great opportunity because you have a large install base that's going to upgrade. Best time to use a new business model. And then on the right is a logistics company. We heard on the SCI solution. I think this is an area where we can, be a little bit of an educator. As a veteran in the IoT space, it's really a good opportunity to get in there with our package tracking and our BOE tags and supply chain integrity to understand their fleets. And we heard a little bit about some other people in there that were able to leverage, our know-how once they understood it. My last slide is, the solution landscape. So, what I wanted to talk about here was, CalAmp's differentiation, teach differentiation. I think that's what Russell was training some of us on. So where do we really differentiate? There's, I could probably have 10 pages of the number of people that are in this space. I sort of looked at it on the left, CalAmp, of course, and then some of the, domestic and international companies that are in there. Sort of in the middle are some of the disruptors. I think you hear a lot about them because they're, they're pushing a lot of marketing money into the market, so you hear a lot about them. And then there's some, incumbents that have been around since telematics was invented. And some of these names are customers, and some of them are in the solution landscape. And then, of course, on the right, there's somebody that we faced internationally that is making a big aggressive move into the United States. But you'll notice, CalAmp, of course, we have areas for improvement. On our fleet and asset side, I think we learned that, we're expanding internationally, and then also trying to get all of our devices, onto the newest ION solution platform. APIs and crash, I think that's an area where we very much differentiate. We have a microservice that we can monetize that as a microservice, or leverage it, in the DAS offering, or leverage it in the full solution. It's a good area of differentiation. And then also with SVR, internationally, I've seen lots of people partner with telematics, cellular telematics, with RF SVR, whether it's a package, recovery of a high-value asset or a vehicle. That is definitely an area we differentiate. I think the VLU 11 is going to really bring a game changer and to be able to do both of those. Data security, I think Kanana talked a lot about that. That's a trend we'll see with our latest security that we've implemented on some of the newer devices that's going to be transitioning through all the devices. We'll be able to differentiate and be ready for the market there. Some of the customers, support multi-vendor. I think we heard from Frank that that's an area where we're going to move to a little bit more with our SaaS offerings. So today, we support CalAmp devices, but in the future, we'll be able to support multi-vendors. I think Justin mentioned that through a platform-to-platform integration, I think we could address that one. Portfolio breadth, we have a lot of products, as you know. And then cellular LTE, I'm just about out of time, but this is one that I marked sort of green, yellow. I think domestically in the US, we, pretty much our entire product line, we've migrated to LTE. And now that, the wave internationally is coming, I work with a lot of international team. On our roadmap, we're doing, the first LTE Cat-M products came out. We launched our first one. We got a lot of criticism for eating it, but what I've heard pretty much from the users is that this was the time to launch it domestically. It really wasn't ready before for mobility. But now we're able to integrate radios that are world banded. So to the international team, I think we'll be able to turn that green in the next 12 months as we get our international Cat-M strategy deployed. And then, of course, vehicle bus is an area where we differentiate. We've got a lot of people investing there. But it's a very competitive space, but it's an area where we can leverage. So with this, my last slide, next we've got some of the youth and customer success stories. I think you'll see the themes around what I talked about and how they can ramp solutions to market very quickly. Thank you.
So while the speakers are on their way up, Greg mentioned something around the SaaS enablement for international. So you're going to hear more details on that this afternoon in the breakout session. But I just want to use this opportunity to say that we saw that there was a pretty significant gap. A lot of our international devices were not integrated into CTC. We discussed this as a group. The combination of Brian Berta's professional services group, Steve Smith's SaaS Ops, Jeff Iberger's FAEs, and I'm pleased to say that of the 11 devices that have been requested for international, 10 of those are now integrated into CTC as of the GSS. So there's nothing like a compelling event to get everybody on board. Great job.
Good morning, and thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to introduce and go over a success story that we had in the transportation and logistics space with the SCI group. Eric Chandler, Director of Business Development, working with Jeff Newman, who did a great job giving an overview of the solution again. A quick backstory on Overhaul. A couple of years ago, they developed a tracking platform, a shipment-based tracking platform that aimed to integrate disparate telematic systems into their platform, what they call the 4 points. So in their ideal use case, they're getting data from the cab, the trailer, cargo, as well as a driver mobile app. And while there is flexibility and value, admittedly, in having device agnostic tendencies as they do, they can go in and grab market share with anybody, any device set. The real value proposition for them is when they became a strong partner with Calent. At that point, they were able to improve their performance, improve their margins, and in general, become a stronger player in the space. So how did we go about getting into this business? It's actually an interesting story. Legacy SCI had a trial with Overhaul with some of our legacy devices. It did not go well. It lasted about 30 days. We were reselling hardware that we couldn't really manage. We were using a SOAP API that just wasn't very configurable for their needs. So Calent acquired the company. They came in with roadmaps. We had our eyes set on improving and enhancing to a JSON API. It really became a built-to-fit solution for them, and we grew together. The perception totally changed around what SCI was under the LoJack SCI branding into the greater Calent organization. So as you can see, there was a tremendous shift about 2 years ago. A lot of kudos has to go to Jeff Newman for that. This time last year at Global Sales, we had targeted strategic resale partners, and Overhaul became one of those. The reasons why they were is because we had a business model that was flexible with them. A theme that's common this year is DaaS, obviously, but we were bundling hardware, software, and service to Overhaul at that point. For a startup like them, this made tremendous amounts of sense. We talked about displacing CapEx with OpEx. This is how they were able to grow. They were able to price aggressively to a major player. Their beachhead in the pharmaceutical space is McKesson, a top 3 pharmaceutical company. With our business model, we sat with the executive team really to teach them how to run a managed service program and build a business. It's something that they were able to do, and now there's tremendous growth opportunities within that account alone. So they've now got thousands of installed SC1000s, and we look to expand rapidly into sensor tags with that solution. Not to mention McKesson has a fleet opportunity, and now that Overhaul has grown into the CTC side of the world, they're also going to be able to offer and bid on that TTU business as well. I mentioned the SOAP API only because I know it gave David Judkins a headache when he had to transition them over to JSON. But that was another reason that Overhaul picked Calent as their strategic technology partner. It's because the perception is that we were a small shop when we were LoJack SCI.
And the moment Calian came in, that perception completely changed. We became a player that had a global footprint. We became somebody that could grow with them. And honestly, we became somebody that mentored them into this vertical of supply chain security. It helped tremendously to have great support. Again, I'm going to mention Jeff. I'm going to mention Carl because he jumped on a plane to meet us in Austin as well. And then we've done things throughout with marketing, with senior executives at Mobile World Congress that I'll get into in the next slide. So not only did we win on side-by-side hardware comparisons, when you look at SensorGuard, Syndom, Emerson, or 7P, they all have devices that do things similar to what we do in the cargo space, but not all of them have a disposable offering, and none of them have a Bluetooth offering that they can immediately integrate with. So those are the types of things that I wanted to mention on outperforming the competition. It wasn't just dots on a map. It was the whole story that we're hearing about here today, right? It's about being all in, not just a foot in, but diving in. And Calian's able to do that with all of our partners. As we move into the timeline of the account growth, I do want to mention the strong support. Without marketing support, we wouldn't have been able to maintain membership in TAP. We wouldn't have been attending the conference that I originally convinced the CEO of Overhaul to do another trial with us after the LoJack SCI trial had gone as poorly as it did. And it was, again, selling Calian, selling the fact that we were pivoting. We were no longer competitive necessarily in that supply chain space, but we were enabling them to grow market share because we wanted to help them grow their business. We started those device trials. I owe Kim Davidson a huge gratitude. She dealt with them tremendously during this phase. They were building their platform. We were rolling out SC1000s and figuring out temperature logging. There was a lot of balls in the air, but we were able to juggle them all and keep it together. As you can see, there's a bit of time between when the device trials started, when the integrations began, and when the CSA was actually executed. That's when we sat with the executive team to teach them why the bundling solution would help them grow, how we could teach them our trial and error approach to the managed service, the device utilization, using at least the device multiple times in the shipment space. Has taught them how to grow the business. And as you can see, the hockey stick growth underneath it is really because we focused and started strategically with a certain account, McKesson, and then we've been able to duplicate and triplicate that effort as we move forward. Again, I'll mention another marketing win at the PCSC, which is the Pharmaceutical Cargo Security Coalition. Overhaul was happy to announce that they had chosen Calian as their strategic technology partner. It kind of sent a ripple through the space because everyone realized at that point that SCI had transformed. SCI was now backing somebody who was coming into the space with a bespoke solution that worked in that pharmaceutical space. So we got free advertising there in front of all of the major players in the pharma space, which worked really well. I do want to mention Steve Smith sitting here in the front row. He spent nights and weekends on the phone with us. This didn't go as smoothly as it looks on the timeline. We definitely had some growth issues on the old SCI databases. With Steve Smith and ProdOps help, and then Abhishek came in and really calmed the waters for us. With the AWS migration in the last few months, I can say with confidence that we're a very stable platform. We can maintain thousands of devices, and now we're looking to expand to tens of thousands of tags. I think this is a very conservative goal as well. So another sign of the strength of the partnership, the CEO of Overhaul was happy to join us at Mobile World Congress Americas, sat on Paul's panel. Got to spend some time with Michael. It was an amazing opportunity for them. They love that type of exposure, and it just shows that Calian has really embraced them as a member of the family. We grew the integration with them. We're now growing the device set with them. They're the first adopters and testers of our CAT-M embedded cargo tracking device, the SC1204. Ask about it. It's a bit. And right before the holidays, we won another major account, LG Electronics. LG Electronics was dealing with roughly 2 to 3 shipments, full truckload shipments of televisions being stolen on a monthly basis, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Since Black Friday, during their peak, we actually have helped recover 4 stolen loads with law enforcement interaction. And the differentiator for us there was that the SC1000 is able to use the SSID or the Wi-Fi lookups and really hone in on that last mile. So we've actually put bad guys in jail using our technology with overhaul. And that's something that has led us to bid for 6 additional DCs. So we're looking for that to expand rather rapidly. Into this year, we've got an even bigger project. I think Brian mentioned earlier the Gordon Food Services proof of concept pilot. It's a 3-phase approach. The inbound suppliers are equipping every trailer with an SC1000 and a temperature tag. That's Tyson, that's Cargill Meats, that's a lot of the food that you'll eat tonight that you want the temperature monitor. We're doing that now for Gordon. It's going very well. They fully adopted that. The second phase was what they call the Digitize the Dot program, where we installed 40 SC1000 4Bs that have been integrated with solar panels outside of a DC, and we also have devices inside. That's looking to expand to 25 additional distribution centers, as Brian mentioned. And then the third phase is all of their owned assets, their reefers are going to be monitored with TTUs. So with David's help, I think I owe David a beer or a case of beer, something like that. He's gone through a lot for me, and I really appreciate it. So we're looking to equip roughly 2,500 reefer units with TTUs and temperature probes, and we think that'll happen here in the next 6 weeks. So rapid growth, digital footprint, global footprint, as well as, there's pipeline opportunities that I wasn't able to list here. One I have to mention is with the LoJack Italian team. I saw them yesterday. Overhaul is actually working on a retainer deal with them so that they can escalate TIP, theft in progress situations internationally. So we're starting with 2 command centers. That'll be locked in this month. So there's a lot of growth in this business, and really what I wanted to mention and highlight, I know I missed some names, is that it did take a team approach. It did take executive support, marketing support, the TAMs and the FAEs. I had prod ops, I used operations. I definitely stressed Brian out over the last month, and I really appreciate his team support. Mark and Jay aren't here, but without them, none of this would have been possible. I think this is just the beginning. I think it's safe to say that this is a 2x, 3x year for overhaul with us. And as we upgrade the devices, as we offer more solutions, this morning's sessions have been tremendous because I just see that much more potential for us to grow an account like this and then all the other accounts that are still on the pipeline. So in closing, thank you all for all your support and help. I think overhaul is a great example of how the pivot is difficult. It is hard to kind of think about the company moving in different directions. But if you keep pushing forward and you've got the support of a great team behind you, it's very possible to make it happen. Thanks.
Just a point of clarification, I believe that is cumulative revenue, right? It's not monthly revenue.
So I think what Michael's saying is show me the money, and that's what we're going to do. FY20, we're going to show the money, right? Because this is an awesome solution for tonight. But anyway, thank you, Eric. I'm here.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Did anybody get a chance to ride those yesterday? They were out there. You did get a chance to ride it. Well, they'll be out today as well. So feel free to grab a ride on one of those. Lots of fun. My name is Amir Bashiri, and I work with the North American Channel team, working with Kevin, Karina, and now Cecilia. And what I want to talk a little about today is the emerging markets that we're seeing, and just educate everybody on some of the areas of opportunity We talk a lot about these scooters. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of opportunity out there for us, but they're really part of a much larger market called mobility as a service. Mobility as a service is poised to be $1 trillion market by 2030. That's according to ABI research. And we're really poised to take advantage of that market. So what is mobility as a service? It's our journey. It's really millennials' journeys when they go to the office. They jump on a bus to downtown, then they take an electric scooter to their office, and then they grab an Uber on the way home without ever owning a vehicle. That's mobility as a service. And we're seeing that proliferate all throughout not only North America, but the rest of the world. People aren't interested in owning cars anymore. So I'm going to ask a silly question. How many people have taken an Uber? Yeah, you can laugh. It's a silly question, but a few years ago, that was not a silly question. When Uber has transformed transportation and how we view transportation. And so when I see Uber making investments in mobility as a service, I pay attention. They partnered with a car sharing company called GetAround in 2018. They acquired one of the best electric bike manufacturers called Jump. They partnered with a software company called Masabi, who does software for the public transportation space. And they also financially invested in Lime, one of the largest operators of electric scooters out there. Their vision is to be the mobility company, to be able to get you anywhere you want to go in a single pane of glass using their app. And they're getting there very quickly. So what does that mean to Callahan? Well, from rideshare to car share, to the micro-insurance that supports those, through micro-mobility with scooters, and the infrastructure and charging stations is created, to public transportation and on-demand delivery, we are literally in the middle of this entire market. And I need your help to go after it. You'll see a lot of logos up there, and some of them we've already got case studies and success stories on. But there's a lot more. This is just a handful, and I look for your help to really tackle this mobility market. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the sub-markets of mobility as a service. First one being micromobility. Micromobility is a new market. It started just last year, and it's poised to be a $792 billion market in just 10 years. Who here has seen these scooters popping up in their cities? Okay, good. All right. They've been getting a lot of press, and Bird really was the fastest startup ever to hit $1 billion valuation. You see Lyft, you see Uber, they're aggressively going after this strategy as well, and it's making a lot of buzz in North America and across the world. So why bikes, why scooters, and why now? So first of all, traffic congestion is at its highest it's ever been with the rise of urbanization. Really, micromobility was meant to get people more accustomed to using public transportation. The reason people don't use public transportation is really that last mile. They still got to get to the bus station, and then they still got to get home from the train station. So this really is a way to get people, encouraging people to get using those buses, that right when you exit that bus station, like in Long Beach, there's scooters there waiting for you to take you home. That takes cars off the road and improves overall safety. Well, battery technology has gone down in price, right? So that's allowed a lot of electric type vehicles to be scaled out. And then technology like ours has become a lot more accessible. So this micromobility market created its own ecosystem. And again, there's a whole new world of opportunities for Cal to go after. You have both dock and dockless bikes and scooters. those operators are always looking for ways to improve the ridership, and they're trying to keep up with some of the new laws and regulations that are coming out because of this new market. You have manufacturers like Segway, Ninebot, Ojo. They're looking for ways to monetize their hardware better, right? They don't want to just sell a piece of hardware and be done. They want a recurring revenue. And then you have technology companies coming in and helping with the platform layer, working with companies like us, taking advantage of CTC. So what are the requirements in this market? So first of all, you got to know where it is, right? GPS tracking is a must. They want to know how much abuse has that scooter been exposed to. So if there's a maintenance that needs to be done, that tilt detection really helps to understand that abuse. Of course, you need distance tracking. You need to be able to charge the rider for that ride. And having speed detection and thresholds is now becoming a requirement. The municipalities are all requiring speed thresholds. This black one, the Ojo, they actually launched in Austin, Texas first. And because there's a big campus there, University of Texas, the UT campus said, look, if you're going to bring these on our campus, it needs to not go over 10 miles an hour. Those go about 23 miles an hour. And so around the University of Texas, Ojo has drawn a geofence, very simply, and limited the speed in that area. There's a lot of operators out there that can't do that because they're not using CALM technology. And that's where we're trying to take advantage of the market. Knowing how much battery is on that scooter before you take it for a ride is important. If it's only got a little bit left, you may not want to grab that one. You may want to grab the one that's fully charged. And having a smart sleep state, really optimizing the battery is extremely important. But here we have, this is a different use case, right? So this company or that little scooter right there is called Irby. Lawrence, I hope if you're in the room, I hope I didn't take your thunder. All right, cool. So Irby's working with enterprises, right? Instead of going after the consumer space, they decided to go after the enterprise space. And so they're working with companies like UPS to help them with their last mile deliveries of heavy packages. You'll see other use cases. So we're working with a company out of Brazil. And their use case is different, right? So they have people in impoverished areas, poor areas that don't have cars, can't afford cars. And so they're using scooters as an affordable way to get access to commerce, to get access to jobs. We had a great success just last year with this little red one over there called Razor. And it was something that PWS had kept their eye on. There was an incumbent in there. And the moment that incumbent slipped, PWS was there with the Calent product representing us very well. I'd like to just recognize real quick the PWS team. Are you guys here? Awesome. Can I get a round of applause for that? Dave and I were on calls late nights, just trying to get past the point of proof of concept and into production within 3 months, right? So we went from, this is what we do to full deployment of 50,000 scooters within 3 months. And I couldn't have done it without Karina. Post-sales, she really did an amazing job to help me with some of that post-sales work. But really, it was our flexibility. It was PWS's great platform, high security, and just the two together really, won this deal. Now they're doing the proof of concept in India, Singapore, Vietnam, and they're blowing internationally. So great organization, both PWS and Razor, and couldn't have done it without the team out there. So cheers. So we took that with Nadine's team, we did a press release on Razor, and we just duplicated it. It was probably one of the easiest sales I've ever done. So we just took it, we sent it out to the world, and with that, inbound marketing, the leads started coming in, and we started winning, right? So the second one was the Ojo, very same, similar use case. The scooter's a little bit more rugged, but they did a proof of concept in 3 cities, and now they're going nationwide. just put a blanket PO in for 10, 12,000. So they're going full bore with this market, and they were struggling before this ride share. They have an expensive scooter. That scooter's about $3,000, so they weren't selling that many. But with this monetization of share, now they're doing fantastic. So the car share market is the second piece of the micromobility space I want to talk through. It's not as new as the scooters, but it still has a lot of room to grow. So it's a $1.5 billion market today. It's poised to be an $11 billion market in just a few years. So what are their requirements for that car share market? Well, the key's always left in the car, so you got to unlock and lock the door with an app. It's good to know what the fuel level is in there. Crash reporting has become a requirement, and we lead in that space. Low latency for that user experience is extremely important. That's something CTC can hold up nicely with. And having remote start and blinking lights, those are all nice to haves. But really, the SaaS story there is CTC Crashbox. We can own this market. So just to close, when I was young, I thought for sure by now we would have flying cars. All we have is Twitter. And I was disappointed, and so I went to a micromobility conference last year. And I'm looking at the agenda. You always look at who's talking and who can I talk to. And the director of aviation for Uber was there. I raised my hand and for sure went to that one. What he said is, today in Brazil, they have Uber Air launched. I didn't know that. They said in 2020, which is next year, they're entering the North American market. They've chosen LA as their first city to prove this out. These are manned. These are not unmanned. These are manned Uber Air. And the reason he said they picked LA is, LA has 32 airports. They have the most number of buildings out there. Those buildings give you access to these skyports where you get on and off these Uber Airs. And LA has the worst congestion I've ever seen. I'm sure most of you have sat through it. And so it was just really, great to see that they are bringing it to North America now. And you'll see it in LA in 2020, in Dallas as well. In 2023, they will have unmanned. So that's part of micromobility. It's getting point A to point B using a different mode of transportation without owning a car, and we're almost there. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to mention about the EWS Racer win. So one of the groups that really, stepped up was our supply chain group of operations. So when they talk about going cocktail napkin to full-scale production in 3 months, we actually shipped 33,500 units, which were not forecasted, by the way. This was not a clean program. So it was a really great job by the supply chain team to remember there. I'm sure that's who Karina was talking to daily in that process. At its best, it expresses both, I think, where two companies or two corporations can come together, and the 5 things that your customer wants the most are also the 5 things you do best. And you're meeting in the middle, and in the bad expressions, you're coming across or underneath each other. And then there's a human level to who you're working with, the ability to have clear and honest communication, back and forth, good times, challenges, all of that, get it expressed, and the desire to work together. And all of that is something that we at CalAmp have all been fortunate enough to experience over the last, in business terms, over the last 1.5 years, working with the partner I want to introduce to you here in just one moment. He is from the United Postal Service, someplace we call it UPS quite commonly. He is the director of fleet for them, and he is Mr. Lawrence Baker.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to keep the mic up here and float around. That's okay with you guys. So it is an honor and a pleasure for me to come and spend the morning with you and share with you two primary things. One is what the relationship has done, what your products have enabled UPS to do. But I also want to plant some seeds on where you can take your company in the transportation industry, not only with UPS, but abroad. And from what I heard earlier, I may not be planting seeds, maybe I'm just going to fertilize some of those seeds you guys are already planting, which is a good sign. So with that, is everybody familiar with what UPS does? What do we do?
Logistics.
What do we do?
Logistics.
Deliver packages, logistics. We do a little bit more than that. So before I get into the discussion, let's take a look. All right. Transportation business is an awesome business, and I'm glad that you guys are part of that with us. So just a couple things. We've been in business about 112 years, around a little while. We have grown to become the world's largest trucking company, the 8th largest airline, pretty sizable IT shop, about 5,000 IT employees around the world. Their delivery fleet, we have about 129,000 powered vehicles. That's our Class 8 tractors, our package cars, we call them, the brown vans that come to your homes. On top of that, we have about 120,000 trailers, which you guys are now equipped in. But beyond that, there's many, many more assets that are out there. I share these stats with you, not because they're interesting in big numbers, but it's really a land of opportunity for you guys. We are a huge test bed for some of your products, for some of your solutions that you can leverage, experiment with us. You guys have been a valuable partner in enabling us to move forward with some of our aspirations, and I'll show you some of those things and make it real for you so you can understand how they come to fruition. As Chris mentioned, I'm from Kentucky, which is the home of our Worldport operation. This is what we call Worldport. It's the world's largest fully automated sorting facility. The black area there that you see there is what's under roof. That's 5.2 million square feet under roof. Does anybody have any idea how many football fields that is? Any guesses? Come on out. 40? 80. That's 80 football fields under roof. And by the way, this needs to be interactive. If this is not interactive, I get bored, you get bored. All right, so let's not happen. All right, but again, I show you this because this is another area of opportunity. You see there on the right-hand bottom are little white tubs, and you see our containers. I don't even have the numbers in my head how many that is. We have the dollies that they ride on. We have the auxiliary power units that power our aircraft. We have the loading belts, the loading the bellies of our aircraft. We have the stairs for our pilots to go out. All of those assets all around the world is a wealth of opportunity. Some of my calendar.
So with that, I'm going to talk about our partnership. Where are we today? Well, we began in 2014. We inked our first deal in 2016 on a small size project, which you guys are now aware of. It's called ELD, right? Electronic Log Device. It was required. We had to go do that. So we started off there, and then we've grown. Today, we have about 107,000 computer devices installed in our room today, and we're still installing. We have another 19,000 to go this year. Services that we currently use, primarily the CTC data pump. We love it. It's great. You guys are doing an awesome job with it. Ion is a product we had used, but we have now moved on to our own platform. And of course, Pulse to manage our devices. And I want to call out a couple of key relationships, because that's the relationships is the most important thing. So Chris, hands off to you. Chris Maddox, our sales guy. Ryan Marta. Rob Duran is planted right in our office. He sits right down the hallway from me. And that's a valuable asset. I consider him part of my team. He's on my staff. And he needs to stay there. We got Mike Dunn, of course, who supports that. And Tim Smith, Wade Files, of course, the executive team with Paul and on. You know, you guys, everybody's awesome. We appreciate the relationship there. So, you guys are involved with us in two major projects. We're going to do a deep dive on both of those. And then after that, I really want to unpack where I think you might want to head. Right. So the first one is the in-vehicle information system. That's our ELD mandate solution. We rolled our own. We didn't buy OmniTrax, we didn't buy XRS, we didn't do any of that. We rolled our own. We've actually been in this space almost 20 years. This is actually our third generation of an ELD-like solution. And then we just branched to the smart trailer, and that's where your value proposition really went through the workforce. I'm going to show you that. So, slide. All right, so this slide is. Again, it's just it replaces what we call our old FDT. That's the device here on the left. That's a Motorola BC6096. It's been in there for, I don't know, 10 years. It's built for the most part. And we've replaced that with a body cell phone, Samsung cell phone, and of course your CalApp device. So this is required for us to switch our logic from having the driver say, yes, I started my day, I've ended my day, I've gone on lunch. Because some drivers in other companies may fit a little bit so they can get some extra driving time. UPS gets paid by the hour, so they wouldn't do that. So so the solution that we had to move to getting a big bus. We had to tap into the engine, right? So we hooked up with a company called CalApp. Do we have other suppliers out there? Yes, we did. But we did look up, and you guys provided a solution. So right now, we moved in between the phone and the CalApp device for our key information we need for ELD. But then we also use that same information for our vehicle telematics back to our back office for automotive maintenance. We have about 21,000 drivers running the solution. Your product's installed in 17,000 of our trackers today. And there's about 80 million messages a day going across. Not through CTC though, it's going through our own internal cloud. So then we really up the ante, the Smart Trailer program. This is where you guys really came to the table. Okay? So before you just get to be smart, now you provide a solution, and you've powered some very good solutions here. We're going to go into that. So the Smart Trailer program, we need to provide a very accurate view of our transportation network. We have 120,000 trailers floating around. We didn't always know where they were, right? It was very often we have a trailer sitting on the Amazon lot, sitting there for 6 months. We would never know that. The way we tracked our systems before was to key into them into old legacy systems. I mean, we're talking some real old legacy systems. One of them was written OS 2. That's 25, 30 years ago, right? Another one's still sitting on mainframe, 30 years old. They're still out there. Yes, I still have responsibility for those. But these solutions are going to get the off those. All right. So I want you to draw your attention to the picture here on the bottom. So I hope you can see that a little bit. But you got a tractor driver down there, driving up down the road there, looking at the trailers. Just keep that image in your mind as we go through the next couple of slides. Before we go there, a couple key stats. The primary components of this solution is obviously your CalApp TTU. Got to have the hardware in place to do it. And then it all pumps into your CTC. We integrate with that. Get the API fees from that. We marry that up with a map large product. You'll see how we do that. And then we provide our operations with what we call a dynamic interactive viewer. Key stats, today we have about 86,000 TTUs installed, but again, we're still installing those. 19,000 more coming online this year. Right? And right now, we're averaging about 5 million location updates per day at CTC. Any questions? Yes, sir.
So you obviously had other options, service provider. I'm just kind of curious, what was the evaluation process? Why did
That's a great question, and I wish I could answer that, but I wasn't necessarily part of the evaluation team. So I can say that we want to be multi-sourced. I can say that the relationship with the other provider at the time was not politically always in the right place. So our senior executive leadership says, go pick another partner. So we did. I'm glad we picked this one, to be honest with you. I think you got lots of opportunity to move forward. So let me unpack really what this program does for us. So this image here, I showed you Worldport, which was our world's largest fully automated facility for the airline side. This is what we call our Chicago area consolidated hub. It's in Chicago, it's called CASH, and that with an E on it. That's CASH. So we got overhead view here, and these little white lines you see there, those are all trailers. Right? That's about 5,000 trailers you're looking at right there on that facility. That's 50 acres. If you decide to take a walk around that facility, you walk for 3.1 miles. So let's get to the pointer works. All right, see this area right here? So this is where our little brown tractors are. So, Kurt, I'm going to dispatch you to go out there, hop in your tractor, and go pick up trailer 206. That's sorry, pick up a trailer that's in bay 206, a parking spot 206, which is over here. That's what my old OS2 legacy system says it's in. So you hop out there, you get out there, you get rolling, you start driving down here, you start looking over here. I'm bay 206, I don't see my trailer ID number. Well, crap. So I can go up and down, look for that trailer, up and down. I can't find it. I go back over here, I walk back into dispatch. Dispatch, where is it? It's in 206. This is what our hub and feeder control system says. It ain't there. Well, go out there and drive around the yard and find it. It's 3.1 miles around that place. And that's if I just walk around. I gotta go up and down. Oh, not only that, we could be also over here, not on our property, in our rail yard. Long story short, that trailer's over here. It's in 2206. So no one has got to put 200 in front of it. That figure is safe, right? So that's how that happens. At a small site, that might be 45 minutes. At this site, that might be 4 hours and 45 minutes. And we pay our feeder drivers? That's a lot of money. Okay. So you see the value proposition on a smart trailer. Where's our assets, right? Okay, got it. So what we have done is certainly asset tracking location, that's the beginning. All powered by Cowlet, there's your Cowlet controller in there, we've got the hardwire as well as the solar power unit. Then we married that up with the map large geofencing. We have geofenced every single parking spot in every single one of our facilities. We have over 10,000 locations geofenced. We're a good portion of those have every single parking spot, all 5,000 parking spots geofenced. All right, I'll show you why that's important to us. Because I want to have this more than dots on a map. Dots on a map's easy, but I got to make context and it'll be very valuable for me to save time and money. So no, that's, gives us our graphical on-property asset view. I can see down in here, you can see each one of these little bays. And then I can also bounce up into before I get there, we now are able to say that trailer, based upon its geofence from a Cowlet device, is not sitting in 206. It's sitting in 2206. Throw an alert. Tell the dispatcher, update the system automatically, so that the driver can go right to 2206 and not wait 4 hours and 45 minutes. We then have our network-wide view with 120,000 trailers. Anybody can guess how many times we go look up a trailer to see where it is in the country? Yes. Come on now. I'm getting bored. How many?
30 times a day.
30 times a day. Do I get more? 300. 5,000 trailer lookups a day. Plus 650 tractor lookups a day. That's just today, and I haven't even fully employed. I haven't fully employed yet. A lot of opportunity here. So with that, finding a trailer the old way. So not only on property, but off property. Where in the country is this trailer? So I use the previous method. I look up my hub and feeder control system, that old OS2 system. It's not OS2 anymore, by the way. We've upgraded. It's still an old client server application. That's the locations I know. I have no idea where it is. But go out and search the property. Well, if you're a cat, you're going to be out there for a long time. If you're in one of our smaller cities, that's all. Can't find it out there, boss. It's not on our property. All right, I'll go look at my mainframe system because it's looking countrywide. See if I can figure out where it is. That isn't there either. All right, I'll tell you what. You looked at all these systems, go contact the last driver who pulled it. Pretty union shop. I called that driver. He just came off the clock 3.5 minutes ago. He answered that phone. Well, he might answer and say, you want to go back on the clock? And charge you for another minimum hour? So, we get hold of the driver. It's this, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I move trailers all day long. I don't know where I put that trailer. All right, let me go search another location's property. Let me call around, see if I can find it. Lo and behold, can't find that asset. That's why I said, oh, where Amazon. That was the previous method. That was the old way. Now we got the smart trailer way, the calendar way. All right, very easy. Access that inside name, that inside location. Check your contacts. The dispatch officer is not here. Dispatch is, oh, yeah. Let me ping it. That's the application. That's what we call it in the operation. Let me ping it. They ping the calendar device, and here it is. Case closed. Okay, so now we talk about location discrepancy update. So this is an on-site property view of one of our locations. It's in Earth City, Missouri. And I know you can't see this information here, I apologize for that, but this is the information we pull off the calendar device and help us make our decisions. GPS location. What is the accuracy? What is the accuracy that you tell me this? How many satellites I got? I think I got 20 satellites on this one. I think I'm down to 1 meter accuracy on this one, so I'm feeling pretty confident in it. Okay, you guys tell me it's pretty good rate. Good battery life in it. So we're going to feel pretty good. So this, you're telling me it's sitting right here in whatever that is. Oh, crap. Well, I just ignore. Okay. He's sitting right here according to Calvin. According to my HFCS system, I'm sitting over here. That's the last time it was updated. Because it had all this information, I can tell it's 1,015 feet away as crow flies, but that's not as crow flies. So I got to go all the way down here, go across this highway, come back over here. I'll never find that trailer. So now with this information, with this integration, and with our solution, we're right now able to offer a suggestion to the dispatcher that says, hey, I threw an alert. It's not where it says it is. Calvin says someplace different. I have a high degree of confidence from Calvin. I make the suggestion you put this bay over here. I'm sorry, this bay over here, and this is where it says. Dispatcher says, okay, I agree. It's a system. Now the driver won't have to go drive around looking for that thing. So right now, where we sit today, we're making suggestions. We're letting operations get the feel of it, make sure everything's going out okay. After we have our KPIs and we see that things are trending pretty good, and we're getting about 80-90% of our suggestions are hitting right on accurate, we're going to automate this. It takes a lot of wasted time out of the system. And when you talk about 21,000 drivers, 120,000 trailers, it adds up in a pretty hurry. It really, really does. Okay, any questions on this? So this is, yes, sir.
Question, you mentioned a lot of concepts here around the driver, the hourly, you have to pay them, all these other things. Have you done an analysis that identifies before how much wasted time is spent?
Yeah, this was the ROI on this project, right? Yeah, I can't share that. Let's just say it ends up in a hurry. Because my CIO is asking the same question. What's the payoff on this expense? We spend a little bit of money here, right? We've equipped a lot of trailers, and we're continuing to invest in this, and this is just the beginning. So it has a decent ROI, but I can't share it. Good question. You guys ask questions I can't answer, but I appreciate the engagement, because otherwise I'd be bored. Hurry for what? I'm doing 5,000 trailer lookups today. We can maybe just do this math here if you want. But let's pretend like it's 30 minutes. 30 minutes to go search for a trailer. 5,000 times 30 minutes times $80 an hour. You can do some math there. So that is a little bit of work. And we just started. Yes, sir.
Will that, when you say coordinate, you have the ability to locate a trailer in the driving ELD so that they can do it back?
We will. We have not given that feature to them yet because the drivers, we're really locked that Samsung device down right now as we get through this. But the platform does allow us to add many more features and functions. We absolutely want to add that. But given the union dynamics that you have here, that's a long, drawn-out process to make them do anything else besides their normal duties. It really is. Yes?
Utilize the technology of that framework.
Well, I want to say yes, but you know, the driver is expected to go place that trailer where we tell him to put it. Why it doesn't get there? Why he puts it in the wrong spot? That's not usually what happens. What usually happens is they put it in the right spot. They just don't go update the system because the driver is to say, hey, I put it in this position, or the shifter says, I put it in this position. But he either doesn't do it, he fat fingers it, or he does it when he gets back, and that's 30 minutes too late. So can we automate that? Yes. I think we can put a device inside of the shifter that says, I've just completed my shift, I put this unit in that shift, and by the way, being here, here's where I did it from my GPS location. So absolutely yes. And this is the landscape of where we want to go forward. So let me get there. This is where I really want to spend the majority of our time. And somebody's going to keep me honest on time. All right, Carl, I think that's your job, right? Okay. All right, so I want to dwell here a little bit, but for the trucking industry, and for me, is the connected vehicle. We have connected vehicles today. We have the ELD that's out there today. So you see, in the green, you have our Calic TTU inside the tractor for ELD, for Iris mobility. FMCSA mandated thing. Then we branched into using the Calic GPS controller on our trailer, which we just talked about. So there's what we said today. But all the rest of this stuff is the land of opportunity. And I know you guys are already there, so maybe let's put some fertilizer on this. But what we really want to know is, how much cargo's in here? I want to know more than it's just full or empty. And yes, probably the majority of the trucking operation wants to know is it empty or full. But I want to know, no, it's 60% full. It's 80% full. We make decisions based upon how full it is and how we run our operation. So there's all sorts of solutions out there in the industry today. There are a dozen players out there in this space, right? And they all have, I don't know, infrared sensors, sonar sensors. I think we're going to discuss right now about the business of video analytics. Right, Brian? All right. So I think this is where you guys are going to come to the table, offer some solutions. Door sensors, that's pretty easy, but we don't have them today. All we have is GPS tracking, right? I got a smart trailer. I want a smarter trailer. Cargo sensing, door sensors, electronic locks. Somebody have electronic locks? We do. The question is the cost viable? Would love to be able to blow past the guard shack, because today I go to the guard shack. I have a guard shack, check it, clip off a metal seal, says yes, it hasn't been open in transit. How much time is that every day? But in theory, we can just go right through the gate, geofence it, unlock it. When it comes to the geofence, I'm good. I also have the ability to remotely lock it and unlock it when it's sitting at a customer location. It's sitting at Amazon. Amazon put their goods in it. They didn't lock it. I I know that why, because I have a sensor on there. I'm a locker remote. So lots of opportunities there. ABS, anti-braking system. Have you ever looked up at a trailer going up and down the highway, looks at the right left-hand corner of the trailer? There's a little ABS light right there. If you see that light's on, don't get in front of it. Seriously, don't get in front of it. Because he has to stop, those back wheels are going to lock you up. That rear end doesn't come around. So it's against the law to ride up and down the highway with an ABS fault. You think other trucking companies going up and down the highway with ABS fault on? They might. You think we do? Okay, but I want to know that ABS is on there because I want to at least tell my operations downstream, hey, I got a trailer coming in, the ABS fault on, will you fix it? I don't want to have a load sitting on a highway that I can't pull full of iPhones. My money now. But more importantly, as we move forward, we get to the whole space of platooning. Does everyone know what platooning is? All right. All behind the other. You don't want to have the trailer following the first one with a bad ABS in the back. Because if the first guy stops, the second guy's not going to stop. An emergency. Be very bad day. So again, we need to know these things. We start talking about autonomous vehicles driving down the highways by themselves, which we do. It's there. It's there. Autonomous vehicles are here. You can get in position to help us out with that. Okay. Other items. Brake pad wear sensors. Really? Yeah. If the brake pad wears down, then I want to be able to go take care of that immediately. We can run this equipment non-stop. So why not have a little indicator there from Bendix or wherever that says, hey, you got one coming in hot. You replace that when you come in. Wheel hub temperature. Wheel hubs. If they get hot, bearings go bad, it's a bad day. It gets too hot, it turns into what we call a thermal event. Do you know what a thermal event is? Yeah, it's a fire. Another bad day. All right, so again, making our trailers smarter. Trailers are dumb. You gotta make them smarter. Okay? Then you have the typical things, temperature, shock sensors, let's look at that type of things. So anyway, that's the trailer. But then we move on, get back into the tractor. Yes. Sorry, keep getting that's also in there. Yes, I want to know that as well. It's very important for us because the load that you want to make sure you have miles per gallon. We spend a lot of time on figuring out miles per gallon. When you go down the highway as much as we do, it's a kind of rare. How much, I don't know.
That's the generic.
It's generic, yeah. We're abstracting now right now. You're an engineer, right? So. Okay, moving on. I heard you guys talk about keyless entry, keyless start, remote start, those types of things. We would like to have that too. So you see down here, we have a keyless tractor. Most of our tractors are not stacked with push button start. A lot of our tractors don't even have electronic door locks. As a matter of fact, most of our tractors don't even have air conditioning. But at one time, that was in fact the case. All right, but now we're equipping our tractors with a little more of the niceties of these are tractors. But a big problem in one of our dispatch offices, you saw in that facility, I've got 400 drivers, 800 drivers coming in there. Could you imagine key management? That's a problem. That's not the way I like this tractor here. I got it all set up. I'm keeping these keys with me. I'm taking them home. You don't have a whole bunch of keys laying around. Key management is a nightmare. But we like to have the opportunity to say, we're going to have you drive this tractor on this route because that's the most fuel efficient route for this one. We want you drive this type of thing. So today we don't have that opportunity. Tomorrow we won't have that opportunity. Is your account controller in there able to help us out with that? Or do I have to go buy another piece of hardware to install on that same vehicle plus the account device? If you help me out there. Another one, the manufacturers today, Packard, Daimler Trucks, Freightliner, Kenworth, they're all getting their own telematics devices in there. They're putting their own SIM cards in there. They're funding themselves to their own cloud, bypassing the need to do this. Today, you have the opportunity to scan that bus, pick off what they will make available to you, and provide it back to us for predictive analytics. We're not in the automotive manufacturing business, so we have predictive analytics, but they may not be that great. But Daimler trucks can work Packard, Volvo, whoever. They probably have 200 pins in there that they're able to get and not share with us. And they can provide awesome predictive analytics, not only for us, but for them as well, primarily for them. That's a service offering that they're beginning to offer us with every vehicle we purchase. So the question is how long do I need that counter device in there? I need a free ELD today. Maybe I can tap into theirs tomorrow. Whose hardware to put in there? I don't really have any idea. Right? Maybe you guys do. Just something that you want. They're really moving forward. It's really the connected vehicle when we talk about vehicle-to-vehicle communications, vehicle-to-infrastructure communications, getting ready for autonomous vehicles, autonomous shipping. It's coming. Technically, it's already there. We have loads going up down the highway today that has a driver sitting doing nothing. Test bed, just test bed, right? But it's there, it's coming, hurry, and there's a lot of economical reasons, ROI, to make that happen. Across the entire industry, not just for UPS, because we have a lot of drivers, across the industry. This industry is suffering from a driver shortage. If I can increase the number of hours a driver can sit behind that wheel because he has less work to do with an autonomous vehicle, we're all going to be better off. So just the things that you want. But the last piece I want to draw here on this slide, maybe not, is a little right there in the right-hand corner, bottom corner. That's our bad guy, right? I heard you guys talking about security earlier. Security is number one for us. If we have a security issue, game over. Right? It is absolutely priority one for us. I don't want CalAm or any other of our vendors to be in the penalty box because of a security issue. There's lots of numbers out there about how much the trucking industry moves to GDP. Somebody said earlier 70% of the freight, I saw 80% of the freight in the United States is moved by trucks. If somebody wants to shut down the economy, here's a great way to do it. They can't absolutely get in and shut down a fleet remotely. I think you guys probably know that, but some people think, oh, it's never going to happen, it can't happen. It can absolutely happen. I can take over the ECM in that. I can disengage transmission. I can raise the speed limiter from 72, which we set down to 100. I can say, hey, you're not cruising right now at 65 miles an hour, you're doing 30 miles an hour. Increase your speed. I can engage the brakes and shut you down. I can take the entire fleet out at the same time. What happened? The probabilities are there. Let's just protect against it, okay? That's the primary message I need to say with you guys. So, my last slide. CalAm UPS tomorrow. So here's some of the initiatives we're working on with the core team. Talk about carbon sensing and door sensors. OCR and OCV, compared to recognition and validation. We talked about the need, I didn't talk about this, but not every one of our assets we own. They're not all tagged. I have dumb assets coming in. Imagine 5 years from now, I'm in a fully autonomous yard. I got a shipper to go pick up that trailer. Well, that trailer's not tagged or its battery's dead. Am I picking up the right trailer? Let's do a little OCV to make sure I pick up the right trailer. Talk about WorldPort, the aircraft containers, those igloos. There's your device. You guys are in seat with us right now testing those. Project Apollo, replacement for our solar device. Looking forward to that one. Or Bluetooth in it. I have that. The Venix brakes integration, talked about the ABS faults, brake wear sensors, wheel hubs. So those are active things that my operations have asked for. So I've asked you guys to help out with that. Beyond the United States, where's our growth engine? It is absolutely international. Europe, can we do this in Europe? Absolutely. We need to? Absolutely. UPS Freight, that's a subsidiary of ours, okay? And you guys are already equipping some of that. We have potentially expand there as well. Our profit margins are not quite as good. So that's where they'll pace themselves a little bit. Then lastly, as I just talked about, is the impact of security thought leadership here. I'd like to see you guys in the game. All right, some of your competitors are in the game. They're at the shows. They're at the discussions. They're trying to set standards on what the IoT security looks like. As a matter of fact, I picked up an SAE book. It was also a college level material textbook. Right, chapter number 2, so your competitors, how they're a player in the space. Something to chew on. So with that, what questions do we have? Yes.
So besides all of the innovation and technology talent going to integration to the GSS, so would you ever consider SPR, the traditional low jack stolen vehicle recovery, to also add and layer on top of you try to steal your trucks or your vans or any of that, and you integrate and add the traditional low jack to integrate the police and the traffic?
I think that's a possibility. I don't know that much about the low jack side of the house. That's all.
Lawrence.
I'm in a sales conference, right?
Lawrence. What if we were able to bring LoJack to packages and track theft of packages at the consumer's front door? Would that benefit?
So package tracking is one of those topics is secret sauce. All right. We're a pretty big shop. We have a lot of suppliers, a lot of vendors, and a lot of proof of concepts going on. So let me just leave it at that. The package tracking is extremely important. We track it manually today because we say ANSI. There's a variety of solutions that are out there. And I probably have to leave it at that.
But none that tie into law enforcement.
But none that tie into law enforcement. Yeah. As far as I know. Yes, sir.
So I want to see for some years, and
I'm not sure if I followed your question.
so helping UPS stay on time.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's extremely important. If we run a complaint 15 minutes late, it's a bad day. Now, with weather events, we can get around because we have, in the contracts, everything gets exclusions for weather. But if we have an issue because of a trailer go down, or because of a technology goes out, that's a really bad day. When my systems go down, my IVA system goes down, I got 17,000 drivers stopped because they can't depart. That's bad. That cash facility, 2014, remember that year? That was a bad year for UPS. All right. That year, I shut that hub down for 5 hours. I can't even tell you how much money that was. That facility runs 3 million packages a day through that facility. Take 5 hours out of that on Cyber Monday. That was really, really bad. The good news is we invested $1 million in that system the following year to shore that up. Because we let it die. We let it stale. And there's still no client server applications, but we are on a massive movement to get all these old systems and put your technology in place to help us build new automated systems. Yes, sir.
On the previous slide, you showed the OEM manufacturers with their clients. So you guys already, there's a lot of manufacturers, right? You guys use a lot of brands, and they each have their sets of APIs. So are you integrating to the 5, 6, 7 brands of APIs to your platform?
We have not yet. We are starting our first engagement with our first OEM. So we are prepared to do so. Question is, should UPS do so, or should we rely somewhere else? Another opportunity for you. But yes, the way we have integrated right now with our DIN application, with a transportation asset management solution, we are prepared to receive from CalApp, from OEMs, from other providers. Do we want to have a smorgasbord? I don't really want to have a whole bunch. Are we going to have a handful? Yeah, probably. Are there other solutions out there that maybe you guys can bring to the table for that? Probably. Yes.
You mentioned there's a lot of hope that's going to be 20% gas savings. Are you involved in any of that right now?
Yes, I am. And it's not 20% gas savings. It's 5% gas savings. Still adds up. Yes. Yes. Very much so. Yes, sir.
So I have a further question. How do you heard some of these?
Have you heard them all? Great question. So, I recommend that you work on your solutions and you come to the door with some proof of concepts. and say, hey, look, UPS, here's what we've already created. We kind of know you, we're our partner, we're under the covers with you a little bit, and by the way, here is the cargo solution we think you should do. Here is the other solution we think you should do. Don't wait for me to come give you my requirements. Don't wait for me to give you a statement of work. Because the reality is, the competitors are knocking on my door every day. I met with 2 of them last week, and they had these solutions. I walk up and down the trade show at TMC, the American Trucking Association Technology and Maintenance Council. I walk up and down the road. I've talked to 12 different manufacturers, 12 different people in this space, all with the smart trailer. All very similar types of technologies. But I put my heart that I've invested with the CTC team here, with Paul, where you at? And on, you guys, right here, yes. I feel very confident that you guys have a very solid foundation footing with your SaaS products. I'm not sure these other guys do. Maybe they're not in the space. So as I poke and prod at them, I'm learning, well, this is a 2-person shop. You got great engineers, you got great hardware. I got a suitcase full of goodies in here from Zigbee to Zagbee, whatever. You know? Okay, but where are you posting that information? Oh, we'll throw it up on AWS. AWS. I know that's where we are. Where you at? Amazon Web Services. Amazon's competitor. I'm just saying. Also a customer, but just something quick there, back up. Look down. Okay. So to answer your question, come to the table, come knocking on my door with some solutions in a lot of these spaces here. Right now, the highest priority is cargo sensing. And cargo sensing is very important to us, and historically it has been not cost-buying. But I think with some of the video analytics that are there, so that is that Brian's coming to the table with, we're good. The other one is the smarter trailer with wheel hubs and the ABS. That's where the primary focus is. But beyond that is the asset tracking of all the other assets we're talking about. So forget the trucking side of the house. Let's talk about the airline side of the house. All right, our igloos, what I call them igloos, our containers, our dollies that they sit on, all of the other pieces of equipment that are running around those airports. Okay. Some of your competitors are floating around on those tarmacs right now. Why aren't you there? Can you be there? Absolutely. Okay. So, wealth of opportunity there. And we all believe this piece with you too. I'm willing to have you guys leverage us as a test bed. UPS has been fortunate enough to make a lot of great companies great. A lot of startups grow, a lot of solid companies become better because we are almost the largest scale. We can exercise a lot of the products to the nth degree. You want to put miles on your products, you want to put miles on your tires, put them on UPS. You know. Yes, sir.
So you talked about prior state and current state to Smart Trailer and the benefits it brought you. How many internal FTEs did it reduce for UPS when you launched that solution?
Again, I'm trying to think back to the ROI.
Just rough.
I don't have a number on that. I don't have a number.
A lot?
A lot.
A lot?
That's exactly what we look like. We want to reduce the number of dispatches in the dispatch office.
Yeah. Autonomous driving is going to get you there.
Well, that's going to help us out the drivers.
Right.
Right. But just the fact that what we've done here today will in fact take dispatchers out of the dispatch office. We want to shut down the dispatch offices. I want to have what we call multi-site dispatch, where I can sit in one facility in Chicago, and there's about 19 other hubs within the vicinity. I want to be able to manage all 19 hubs from that one location. And I can do that with the types of technologies that are out there. So let's just pretend like I have 6 dispatchers at each facility. So there's 6 times 19 times
$75 an hour.
Well, those guys don't have commissions and not drivers.
Total operational cost.
Yeah, total operating costs. It gets up there. So I don't have those numbers. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't be able to share them here.
We just got it.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes. Most of our cold storage is taken care of on the aircraft side. So we have special containers that have cold storage in those. On the ground side, we do not. That's not considered a premium product. I mean, that's considered a premium product. On the ground side is not considered a premium for them. But we are, one of our huge verticals is the healthcare space. We're investing heavily in the healthcare space. And who knows what's to come on that area. Yes?
You guys talk about relationship about marketing and everything that is on the place. It's sort of a wait and see, monitoring, money at this point.
Well, I'm not personally in it. We have a team of folks who are dedicated in that space, so I don't think I'm going to answer your question, but we are there. I believe it's a little bit of a wait and see type of scenario. If we can take advantage of it, we certainly will do so. Yes? Do not have any presence. We have presence in Asia. We run operations in Asia. A lot of it is what we consider outside service providers. Don't necessarily have a label brown employee there. We have a small contingent of them. Those are certainly growing areas. So today, no, we do not track any of our assets there. In Europe, we do not track any of our assets in Europe. We have a footprint of our own trailers and tractors that are there, but again, we also leverage outside service providers currently. I don't really know. Well, we have these trailers go to and from Mexico, to and from Canada. Okay? We have a small contingent in Canada. We have about 400 drivers in Canada who stay in Canada and run into Canada. And yes, we want to track all these there as well. So North America is certainly in play currently and already there. Yes.
What are you doing with cameras for risk mitigation like that?
We're a union shop. So no, we're not doing anything with that. In our tractors today, we have the it's called Wingman Fusion from Vindix, which takes care of your ADAS, advanced driver assistance, with collision avoidance, mitigations, adaptive cruise control. So they have cameras in there. So forward-looking cameras, we turn them off. We do not collect any data. UPS has big pockets, and we protect ourselves quite a bit when it comes to those types of litigation opportunities. So I think there will be a future of that, maybe even mandated at some point. So solutions are there, actually. As a matter of fact, our freight unit, they actually wanted to tap into the cab device and send a video signal to the cab device and have a phone home course. But they didn't pursue that because of these union types of issues. So it'll be there, it's just that we're going to be slow to adopt that. Yeah, we just spoke about that, so we have trucks going to and from Mexico. Yeah, I don't have any stats on how big we run it with inside Mexico. Oh, it's us. Yeah, it's us. Okay. Now, we always outsource a little bit. So in the United States, but a small percentage of our loads are pulled by other carriers, either with their equipment or with our trailers, especially during peak season. Actually, we spin up about 20,000 extra drivers when it comes to peak season out there. Well, you are engaging with some of our partners in the trailer space. All right, so we lease trailers. You guys are working with some of our primary leased trailers there. They buy the equipment from you guys directly, install it on there. As far as the tractors, you're going to have to go down to the next major player who's for hire. So I don't know how big they are. A lot of the folks we bring on board, they're the smaller truck companies. And we have hundreds of them. You'll all the way down to the small mom and pop shop. My recommendation is really getting, engaged with the OEMs. We buy all new equipment. The industry's growing in this space. If you can have a foothold in that industry with the OEMs, then you're in. Somebody's in there. Daimler Trucks did not go out and create their own piece of hardware. They leveraged, bought, sold, whatever. Yes, ma'am. Driver behavior is absolutely important, and the telematics information that comes off of the tractor today is put into something we call SSP, safety system something. But we monitor driver's behavior, without a doubt. Do we monitor the video? No. But with telematics data, yes. For the most part, we don't have any issues with our drivers. Our drivers are very, very professional, top-notch, one of the highest paid in the industry. So we don't really have issues with it, but we do have issues with it. We be frank about it. We do have issues. And, you know, a driver in every single facility is talked to every single day, I'm sure. But it's not something that drives a lot of new solutions. Oh, help me now figure this out because I have such a driver behavior problem. We don't have that, unfortunately. Yes.
How many new trucks do you buy?
Usually between 500 to 1,000. We only keep them for probably, I don't know, 8, 9 years. The industry, we moves them over in about every 5 or 6 years. We keep them a little longer. We have quite the outstanding maintenance shop. Pretty big deal for us. We like to get maximum use out of our equipment. But yeah, we about 500, at least 500 a year. Yes.
Opportunities that you see for us in the brown truck space?
The package cars. No. Let me rephrase that. Geotab has been in our package cars for 10, 15, 20 years. I have no idea how long before I even started paying attention to this space. So they are in our package cars today, collecting telematics for the purposes of automotive maintenance. Great relationship going on there with the automotive department. To be honest with you guys. Okay. So they're there. They have the opportunity to branch out and pick up tons for maintenance reasons, pick up other pieces of equipment for maintenance reasons. You guys are in place for the operational side of the house. So here's the difference a little bit. If the Geotab system goes down in their cloud, what happens to the operation? Nothing. Oh, the guy gets his maintenance report a little bit late. If we lose visibility to CTC of our trailers, what happens? We lose complete control of the network, Paul. Right now, we're not overly dependent on it. It's a bit of a savior. It's a bit of a wow, check this out. But in probably less than a year's time, we're going to be running our operation fully on this. And CTC goes down, it's going to be a really bad day. And I'm going to get a call, and Paul's going to get a call, and we're going to go from there. So that's okay, because that depends you want. You know, it depends on what. It's the service you provide. And you guys have done an outstanding job growing that platform up. We went through peak season, not going to do it very well. So they're very pleased with that. Let's just keep that engine running. There is operational opportunity, but right now it's being satisfied because every driver has his diet, you know, the piece of equipment you sign, right? So that's how we do our operational analytics. We track the driver, not necessarily the package car itself. Yes. How many Geotab devices do we have? Oh, I don't know, because that's a slightly different part of the business. There's a little bit of politics going on. But I don't think they're on site. I think there's probably 2 or 3 that are very nested with those guys. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to get very familiar with Geotab. I'm going to warm up to them because I've got to. All right. The automotive department is not IT. When you talk about that little guy in the corner, I got to worry about security of my IT. That's not my job. So I'm going to warm up to Geotab. I'm going to see what they're all about.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Remember, LoJack ties into the police department.
LoJack. Are you from LoJack team?
Nope.
Okay. Well, back to that point, you know, certainly hijacking a trailer full of iPhones is a pretty big deal. Actually, it's not even iPhones, it's the trailer full of medical goods. All the medical goods. That's true, yeah, that is absolutely true. Yeah, see, I'm now thinking what you know.
And the boxes.
That's secret sauce. But you can tie that into whatever is inside the tractor, inside of the package car.
Or the police department.
How many years do you have in use?
I'm not sure if I should answer that. Less than Calvin. It is important to know, I don't know because I'm not in that space. Okay, that's the package car side of the house. On the Class A side of the house, maybe one day a week. But I would only be notified of if they're very, very serious, bumping in the corners or bumping into the cars, and it happens. But when it's a serious event, and we have to get to the harsh brake events off the telematics device, and our dispatch is alerted. So those things are very serious. Accident reconstruction. Yes? I do not have a specific number. I think we're more concerned about lost assets than theft. With 120,000 trailers running around out there, it's very hard for us to know where everything was. Now that the dollies, think the wheels go underneath them. So I don't, we use more igloos, because people steal the igloos, because next thing you know, they're going to divide up a bridge and someone's living in it. That happens more because you almost think those little like slap that pickup truck and you're out of there. So those happen often.
Lawrence.
Yes.
How many of your customers report a lost package? Or consumers, me.
I don't know. I mean, you're asking. A lot. We have entire service centers, phone centers who do that all, and we make claims left and right for packages that are either lost or stolen or damaged. Here's just anybody in this industry.
Well, there's a question for you. So you've got the executive team, you've got 2 board members here, right? So you talked about on your wish list, that we come to you proactively with solutions, right? Second was we work closer with the OEMs. Anything else on your wish list?
That's all I came prepared with. But I think I don't want you to miss out on the fact that security is actually number 1 in that whole list. I don't have any awareness as to how secure your devices are. I read how fleets can be shut down by going through the telematics devices. You got a lot of companies out there who's installing ELD, a lot of small IT companies who created the next trucking application to go to track ELD. I have no idea what device they're using. I have no idea how secure their platform is. I know our platforms are extremely secure. Extremely secure. What I'm worried about is the edge devices. You guys have been proactive. You gave us a service bulletin. We were right on it, the one security thing. But I don't know that I don't know. And that worries me.
How do you define your criteria to evaluate service standards?
No.
Is that something that we could
Yes.
understand?
Yes. Absolutely. We talked about that at the last QBR that Chris brought the gang to. We need to shore up some security goal gaps that are already there. We identified with the first deal. We absolutely would love to see you as an industry leader in that space. I would love for you to come tell me, say, okay, I know you got your OEMs out there, you may have some other partners out there, other competitors out there in this space, but here's the checklist that you as a company should use to make sure they're viable and they're in good shape. I would love to have that. Okay, anything else? All right. I know you guys are all in. So, Carl, I'm all in.
Very exciting. So, I saw people on their phones are just buying stock. But really fantastic job, Lawrence. That was terrific. He thinks he was out here as our guest speaker. I'm thinking more sales recruiting trip. So anyway, those guys are really giving yes. But I tell you what, that was a very dynamic presentation. Great job, very exciting message. So we have made to define the breakout sessions. We've instead decided to just be here in these rooms, and we'll have those back to back. So rather than breaking out and all those confusing things with 2 teams,